All right, bam. We're doing it. Elden Ring lecture, bitches. Uh,
Hola.
so I would start with Tarbuk because, of course, everyone knows that Tarbuk wants to start first, even if it's not his lecture. But first,
Yep.
literally today, I got the art book.
Oh shit. Sick.
Mm.
It literally released today.
That makes you a proper Elden Ringo.
Yeah, no, it's very nice. It's literally just a bunch of full screen art and nothing else. There's no notes in it at all.
Is that the one that was included in like the big deluxe edition?
I don't think so. It's very large, and it's volume 1 of 2. So I think it's a new thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I remember because I very legally acquired this game. I got an art book, but I don't. Yeah, it was not that big. So
Yeah, I legally acquired the game, and I got that PDF art book program thing. It was weird.
Yeah.
It had like 20 things in it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was not that big.
It felt like barely anything. Anyways,
So cool though.
hi everybody.
Just full pages with no notes. That's one of those corporate art books.
Yeah, no, it's for you to flip through from a coffee table. Maybe the second
One
one
of
will
those-
have notes, but I doubt it.
One of those Suits approved art books.
Anyways,
Terrible.
all right. You've beaten Elden Ring, Simon.
I love
Elden Ring's really cool. Ricardo, you've beaten Elden Ring.
Yes, I have.
Oh, Elden Ring.
Didn't beat Millennia though.
I did.
I did.
Yeah, y'all did.
I played with cheats.
You did play with cheats.
Definitely worth it.
I
You didn't play with cheats, even though I said you should, because you gave up for like 6 months.
yeah.
Yeah. Hence Millennia. Anyways. Harbuck watched me play, and I think Keegan, you played like what, an hour? Like a few hours?
I bought it.
You bought it?
I bought it like a couple months ago. I'll play multiplayer with you guys eventually.
Yeah, whenever that DLC drops in a fucking year and a half or whenever,
Uh,
I have to make a whole new Elden Ring 102. Except I won't, because this is just a broad spectrum overview. We're not doing everything.
It was a crash course,
This is a crash course on all the shit that matters.
like with no
No,
John Green.
John Green.
Yeah, Jack the Ripper Palmer.
Yeah, those are two very funny Johns for you to mix up. Anyways, speaking of Johns, Tarbuck, you had a question for us, which we weren't going to start with this, and in fact, I wasn't even going to bring it up unless somebody asked about it. But you have inadvertently asked about it. Please.
Color code thing.
Okay, I'll write them down in green.
Understand why?
No. Tarbuck, ask your question.
Do you think fans of Elden Ring should be called Elden Johns?
Now, you stumbled upon a joke that already existed, but in a different context. There is a character referred to by the community as Elden John because we don't have a name for him.
We're not gonna put things up on screen, but maybe what I can do is just.
Wait, is this literally an Elton John? Like, is that what that is?
I mean, it's a joke about a guy named Elton John, yes, but it's just a guy who the community has named Elden John because he doesn't have a name. Oh, Elden John. He's like a super ancient character who like we don't know anything about other than he appears in two statues?
Oh, several.
No, he also appears in 2 statues throughout the entire game and also in the underground city near the Eternal City.
Which yet.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna start somewhere proper. But anyways, yeah, we're not gonna be covering Elton John because nothing about him is particularly well known. We know vaguely what era he was from, and vaguely his alignment, and that's about it. There might be 1 or 2 other references to him in like item descriptions, but that's it.
Since there already is an Elden John, we have to call the fans Elden Ringos. It wins by default.
If you say so. They already have that marketing. It's called being tarnished.
Yeah, bro. No maiden.
Oh yeah, ringers, like liners. Yeah, because liners is so good. No, there's an entire section of my notes for command line that is just marketing, which is everything in, which is like, okay, take each thing, make it a marketable like one word thing. There's a few of those. I don't have very many. I need to do that more. But oh well.
Is that like the Elden Ring NSFW? You're not tarnished, you're ravished. Is that the AU?
We're not talking about Elton John, and also I have no idea what you're talking about. You got to keep your porn to your own brain. Why do you feel like you've been touched by the three fingers?
Because my eye is a.
Oh yeah, your eye is a real Shiburi grape right now. You'll know maybe what that means in about a couple hours.
3 fingers?
What the hell?
All right, so here we're gonna start off the most important thing in Elden Ring. We don't have yellow, which is good because that wouldn't.
The orange.
Why?
That's not gonna show up at all. It kind of shows up. Let's not just go with blue. Hi, what's up? It's so you know about the 2 fingers. There's the 2 fingers. Who sent the 2 fingers?
What are the 2?
The 2 fingers. They're vassals for the greater will.
What's
the greater will?
Also, what literally are?
They're 2 giant fingers. They're an entire race of things that are just 2 giant fingers. Any questions about that?
Nah, you find them in the tower place.
Yeah, there they are. There's the 2 fingers. The 2 fingers are vassals. They're like things that do just live there. They're not like sent by it, but they do communicate with it like they have antenna. And the way that they communicate with humans is that they take their 2 fingers and they like move them in the air. And they like write basically, and then people who are like priests or priestesses, they can like watch them move their fingers, and they will interpret what they are meaning.
They look like gross.
They are gross, fucked up old ladies.
Yeah, shout out those old ladies.
Yeah, the finger maiden crones. Anyways, they worship and follow the greater will. What's the greater will? The greater will is a like kind of an outer god, but it's the main one. It's the one that drives and is in control of everything. It sent the Elden Ring to the place where the game takes place.
What's the Elden Ring?
Give me a second.
You can't just be dropping these proper nouns.
Okay, I'm gonna say here's where the game takes place. Long ago in a far away place called the Lands Between, because it's between everywhere else. There's a bunch of places that aren't the Lands Between, but they don't matter. We live in the Lands Between.
Okay, wait. In Dark Souls 2, they had the lands betwixt, and in this game, they have the lands between.
It's the things betwixt.
Oh yeah. Okay, sure. All right. True. I remembered it wrong.
So you're in magical flyover country, basically.
Yeah, you're in a place that's surrounded by fog, so that way they don't have to explain why don't people just leave.
You're in the Midwest of the world.
Yeah, but it's pretty eventful. It's pretty happening over here. They have
you're in like Salt Lake.
Yeah. It's like Vegas.
Definitely in Utah.
All right. So the Greater Will, the Greater Will sent the Elden Ring in the form of an Elden Star that fell long ago,
From the Elden Sky.
A seed that is also a meteorite.
Yeah.
I guess. It sent the Elden Star. The Elden Star is that. You know what? I'm just going to be pointing around at this whiteboard. And I'm going to pretend that you can see what it is. So the Elden Star fell down to the Lands Between, and then it grew into a giant tree, and all the people worship it because the tree is cool and it gives birth to people. It's called the Great Tree. Not to be confused with other trees. That
Which there are.
What about the Erd tree? Oh,
no, wait, it is the Erd Tree.
You said great tree.
I said the Great Tree. That's
Fuck's sake.
wrong.
Oh, you're.
I'm sorry that I
God
fucked
damn it.
up. It's called the Erd Tree. It glows into a
There
giant
you go.
glowing yellow tree called the Erd Tree. Everyone worships it. It's golden light.
Everyone's
It's great.
like, the Erd is the word.
Erd is the word, indeed. It has.
Have you heard?
Have you heard the good word of the Erd? Indeed.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So, yeah, everyone worships the Erd Tree. It's really cool. There's no death anymore after that point. Everyone just lives forever. Anytime you get sick, you just get a little bit of tree sap splashed on your forehead by like a priestess.
You get anointed by the tree sap. That's sick.
Yeah, you get anointed by a tree sap, and that restores you to like full life. But the problem in the lands between is that the tree is drying up, and the age of plenty is over, and now people are just like kind of rotting en masse, and there's not enough sap to go around. So all this bad, so that was pretty bad. That caused a bunch of like kind of tension between all the different countries, because there's a few different countries, and the main and then the thing that kicks off everything, that kicks off the Shattering, which is the kind of the main conflict of the game, is the Shattering and the Shattering Wars. There's the Night of Black Knives, where basically all of the royalty is murdered in like a giant like blitz in one night to kill a ton of demigods. And that's when Godwin the Golden dies.
Okay, wait. When you say the shattering, you mean of the Elden Ring, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
The Shattering happens after the Night of Black Knives. It happens after a bunch of guys are murdered, because Queen Marika, who's all her children of her golden lineage, they all get killed in one night. By a rebel force that we will talk about. All of Queen Marika's children get killed. So she, in grief, she takes the Elden Ring, which she has, which is like the cosmic thing that like holds the power of the world and like sets it in how it is. It's at the base of the Elden Ring, or the Elden Ring is at the base of the Erd Tree. It's inside of it, and it kind of like dictates how the world works. It's like literally the law written out as a funky circle diagram that you can put on a box cover. Yeah, that one.
Cool.
So
there's it seems like there's an intersection of like sacred geometry and Akashic records here.
yes,
Is that right?
there's a lot of sacred geometry. There's also a lot of
Blaze
alchemy.
Blue, Blaze Blue Fixed a Night, Full Metal Alchemist.
There's a lot of
etc.
lattice structures that you were just looking at. Yeah, so the Shattering is Marika takes the Elden Ring, which looks like this, and then she just takes a hammer to it and smashes it, shattering it, which causes the Shattering Wars, because then it gets broken up into a bunch of pieces. If you have that piece, it makes you really powerful, and you can like dictate, you can like control an aspect of reality by having it. And then all of her surviving children, pretty much all of them, get a piece. Yeah, mostly her children get pieces, but also some other people claim them.
Yeah.
Who are also... No, they're not demigods.
Right.
No, you're a demigod if you're born of a god and something else.
Right.
Some people are just really big monsters. Yeah. All right, let's go through. This is somewhat chronological. I'm just setting the framework, and then we're gonna kind of build off of it. How is starting with, hey, Greater Will, Seed, Tree, Age of Plenty, Shattering, or Night of Black Knives, Shattering, events of game.
It does work.
So with the species we got there were the people who were gods already. So we've got normal guys, got tarnished, gods, demigods, and then there are the guys who are just huge monsters, so they go under built different.
Okay, so here's the list of races. It is kind of simple. You're a god if you have the Elden Ring. If you have like the whole thing, which means Queen America is god.
Yeah.
That's it. She is it. She's the. I mean, there is outer gods, but they're not like characters. They're like forces in the universe. Yeah, like an outer god might be the god of blood, the mother of blood, but like she doesn't have like a form. She's not a boss fight. There's a guy who worships her who is a boss fight. You can't fight the concept of blood, but the concept of blood does exist, and you can worship it. Shout out to Moog.
Moog. I never fought Moog either.
Understand the concept of blood.
Yeah. So there's God, who is Marika, and then there's demigods, who is anyone who is her children. Because she has to marry someone else and then have kids with them. Fire.
Dude, imagine being God's baby daddy. That's crazy.
Imagine
America! Fuck yeah!
Dude, you just won life.
Coming again to
Nope,
kill the
nope.
Wait, what did he
motherfucking
say?
kids, yeah.
Imagine being God. Basically,
well,
well,
they kind of don't do that. We're gonna get into her marriages. She has 3 marriages. Well, no, she has 2 marriages, but also kind of a third marriage. It's complicated. We'll get into it. Know that there will be at some point a metaphor that you'll be asked to just take at face value.
Okay.
So Shattering War. When the Shattering War happens, Queen Marika and Grace, because she serves the Greater Will. Greater Will's guidance is called Grace, which means like, oh yeah, you go by the guidance of Grace or whatever. You go with Grace. You go with Greater Will. Greater Will is backing up what everyone's doing. The world of Elden Ring is like semi-deterministic, by the way.
Meaning,
Yeah. So what it means is that like cosmic stuff affects decisions that you can make in a literal way. So like a character might have their fate to be bound to the heavens. There's a character whose fate is bound to the heavens, and that means that their quest line won't progress until you start to move the sky. But you need to do that. Pretty much, like, you as a player have free will, but none of the game characters do, which is kind of why you're important. Other Tarnished don't have free will.
yeah,
You have free will because you are the player character. That is why. It's not ever explicitly said, but like that's the only way you can explain multiple endings.
I mean, okay, wait. It's probably just the chosen undead prophecy again, right? Like anybody could have been the Tarnished for free will, but you're just the guy. You just happen to be the one.
Yeah, kinda.
I'm personally of the stand very differently. There's something very different happening in metaphysicality prophecy.
Yes, I think that one doesn't even necessitate it having physical properties. This one kind of mandates it. Like the player character who beats the game is able to like overcome fate in a way that other characters who are more powerful can't. Yeah, see, they're right next to each other. That statue turns into that statue.
Okay, so you said that the Greater Will is in control, but then you said something that makes it seem like they more so like the Greater Will more so influences stuff than controls it.
Okay, so the Greater Will, something about outer gods is that they don't have something above them that influences them. They just follow their own decisions. The Greater Will is not omniscient. It knows a lot of stuff, but it doesn't know everything that's going on. So like you can plot against it.
Okay.
And it's in conflict with the other outer gods who all want to have influence everywhere. It is the dominant one when the game starts, and at the end of the game, depending on your ending, it can be the dominant one, or you can put a new one in power, or you can just say fuck all of them.
Dude, we love politics in games.
Yeah. Are you team Ash, or are you team Tree, or are you team Star?
Team Star all the way.
What a total simp mentality right there.
No, the moon, bro. The moon looks so sick, though. You can't tell me it doesn't look sick at all.
Yeah, there's also two. There's 2 moons in Elden Ring. Yeah, there's one.
So you got
Yeah, in Elden Ring, there's 2 moons. There's and they're both kind of the same outer god. One of them is a full moon all the time, and one of them is a new moon all the time. And they're both really fucking huge. They're like 20 times bigger than our moon.
so Moon and Ronnie is blue, and then Ash is like red, and then Tree is like green, but also yellow. So you have red, blue, green, yellow. Pokemon, anyone?
Ding 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 ding.
There's a video about color theory in Elden Ring that is literally about that, and it's like, girl? You're thinking about Quelaag, but Quelaag didn't make that video. She made a video about that, but there is a much longer edited video about that also.
Was it Zuli the witch?
Okay, I guess we're gonna talk about Ronnie. No? Was that not what Ricardo said? Okay. So that's where. So, anyways, shattering happens. Shit gets really fucked up. Everyone goes to war. All of America's surviving children are basically trying to kill each other to get all of the fragments of the Elden Ring. And at the start of the game, they've all basically just fucked each other up and not managed to do that. So they all have one piece. They pretty much all have one piece. There is, who are all the shard bearers? There's like 8, I think. There's like 8 of them. We'll get to each of them eventually. But they're the big bosses that you have to fight.
Shard bearers.
Yeah. You get called back because the Greater Well needs an army. And it has an army of Tarnished, but they're not in the lands between right now. So it calls all of them back because they got sent out a long time ago. And what that means is that your character, who was a member of that army and died far away, gets resurrected and brought back. You wake up in a church, like the Church of Reception or something. I forget what it's called. It's like the church. It's literally like the church of arrival for like a Tarnished shows up there. And then they are given a maiden who can like drop dew on them to keep them alive forever. But when you show up, your maiden's been murdered. Oh shit! What does that mean? And then you get ambushed by a giant monster. You get killed by the giant monster, or you get killed by a trap. If you're a really big badass, you can beat the monster. And then you fall into a pit and die. Then you wake up, and then there's a girl there, and she's like, "Hi, you'll get to know me later." And then she offers to be your maiden. Hint, hint, she totally killed your maiden and took her place. Because she has her own plans, because everyone in this game has their own goddamn agenda. And none of them will tell you what it is. Except for Ronnie. Ronnie's like the only one who will actually tell you. Because she's literally your wife. In her ending. In her ending, you literally marry her.
So what does it mean to be tarnished? I don't think you explained that yet.
Okay. So a tarnished. Oh yeah, that's from the opening. Okay, so the Tarnished were part of an army long ago who was super big and badass. They were led by Horalu, aka Godfrey the Golden. Yeah, Godfrey the Golden.
Yes. Dude, no wonder he's the best boss. Hell yeah.
Guys.
Yes. A lot of things have two names.
So many things have two names and things that.
No, he's not Godfrey the Golden. He's Godfrey the First Elden Lord.
Yeah.
His son is called Godwyn the Golden. Anyways, his name is Godfrey First Elden Lord. Basically, a long time ago, in order to form the Greater Will, because when the Greater Will arrived, there was a bunch of other shit going on, and basically they had to fight for dominance and like crush all other religions. We'll go into those other religions later, but basically, Godfrey, First Elden Lord, he showed up. He just was supremely badass. He married. Or his name was Horalu. He was just a tribal leader, but he was just really tough. And Queen Marika was like, "Hey, you're really tough, and I'm the vassal for the Greater Will. We should team up, which would make me a god, and you my Elden Lord,
my baby daddy,
my baby daddy. And then we can pump out kids, a bunch of good shit." So he went on a quest because he's just like, dude, I love fighting. It's so cool. Before that he was Horalu, King of Beasts. He was the King of Beasts because he fought the Beast King and won. And then the Beast King like bowed to him and became his slave. And that's the giant tiger on his back.
Yeah.
He carries a giant tiger, Sarash, who is the ancient ghost of a dead animal warrior king.
Dude, he oh my god, he's just Giovanna. He's just Giovanna.
Yeah. He's on the front of that book. He's pretty cool.
I love this man. He's
anyways,
so
he
cool.
like killed literally everything with a big army of guys who were as badass as him. They were just normal guys, but they were just really tough. And you or one of your ancestors was in that army, and being in that army means that you were a total badass. You went and fought. You had to fight mages, you had to fight beastmen, you had to fight dragons, you had to fight giants. And then whenever he fought to the last giant and defeated him, he lost grace. Yeah, he lost guidance in the Greater Will. The Greater Will didn't need him anymore. So he literally lost the light in his eyes that means that you have grace. Because all the gods have glowing eyes. Glowing eyes means you are influenced by something, by an outer god. But also it means he was depressed because he had killed everything. He had nothing else to fight. Anyways, he lost grace. Then Marika fucking divorced him.
Cringe.
Marika divorced him, and
kids do they have?
They had Morgott. They had a lot, actually.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is where you're gonna start writing down the shard bearers too.
Yeah, this is where I'm also going to be writing down shard bearers. So I'm going to write down, here are their named kids. We have Godwyn the Golden.
Yeah.
Let me write this down. So we have this bitch. We got this bitch in America. Big M. Come on. Sure. We got Godwyn the Golden. I will write down, despite the fact that he is dead at the start. We got Morgott, who was the first boss. Everyone got their ass beat by. And then we have Moog.
He's their son? Oh my god.
Yeah, because those last two, they're brothers. So the first one was Godwin. He's a perfect golden child, literally. He's literally gold. Yeah, he's a perfect god baby. He's from like the height of their power. And then they had Morgott and Moog, and that's when their power like started to wane because like the tree was dying. And then because like other forces were bubbling up in the universe. So they got born cursed. So they're omen babies. They're called omens. That means they're covered in horns and they're really ugly, but they're also really strong. But they're also a symbol of a dead religion.
Yeah, like horn.
Yeah, they're turning it back into beasts. Because they're not corrupted, but they are influenced by the Crucible, which is like the ancient version, an ancient religion before the Greater Will showed up.
Yeah, like primordial.
Yes.
Like bio.
Yeah, that was the dominant one before. There was a Crucible. That was the age of the Crucible, and that's where all the Tarnished, like, they rose up out of that, and then they dominated everything. Because it's like a Crucible. You had to, it's a sequential battle of a bunch of guys, and then whatever's the strongest is what's left. It's also a Crucible because it's a big melting pot. So there's a bunch of hybrid people, there's animals, there's giants, there's dragons, there's beastmen that worship dragons and like turn into them sometimes. Yeah, pretty nuts. So that's their three kids.
Tell me more about these melting pots.
No.
Tell me more about the Crucible.
Okay, so let's see. So during the age of the Crucible, Godfrey, who at that time was called Horlu, this is before he got married to America. He had a bunch of Knights of the Crucible because he was big into that. He was big into fighting, so he liked the Crucible because it just made everyone in the world just get stronger all the time by fighting. Yes. Back then, there wasn't a giant tree. There was a bunch of small trees that were all fighting. Like, people lived under trees and, like, would fight each other. And they were, like, sprouting up. Eventually, one of them became dominant, and then that ended that whole reign. So yeah, Godfrey, back then he was Horlu. Before he got married, he was Horlu, which is why at the end of in his second phase of his boss fight, he goes, "Fuck marriage, I hate women," and then he kills his tiger and turns into Horlu. Because
he throws his axe away and just goes like, hey.
Yeah, he literally just becomes a grappler.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Because he just wants to kill you. Also, in that cutscene where he does that, he gains grace again to kill you.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, there's a line of grace that you can see. Like, he gets light in his eyes, and then it does like a wide shot where it's him at one end and you at the other, and a line. Normally, you have grace towards bosses. He has grace towards you.
What?
Because you're so badass that he has deemed you a worthy opponent, and he is like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you right now."
Holy shit! I need to replay this game. Oh my god, that is so sick.
Yeah, no, that's like the coolest fucking moment in the game. And it's literally blink and you miss it. Like, if you don't notice that, like, oh, there's a tiny little drift of wind and it's going towards you and it's yellow. Yeah. Because that's the last time the Greater Will has influence. It's like, okay, the cooler one of you two needs to win. So Horlu is going to fight you with like all his strength.
And we'll see what happens.
And we'll just see what happens. Like, if you win, you get to be Elden Lord, and if he wins, he'll become Elden Lord. He'll
so you're already
yeah, because
you're already at Galactus scale by that point. So at that point, he is now Mike Hager, and it is his destiny to powerbomb you because you've gone too far.
Yes. But you're like you're controlled by a player, so you can kind of just defy fate. You can defy the Greater Will. You can literally defy the Greater Will.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't want to say that because that's too corny, but basically.
Wait, what did Simon say? Did Simon say what I was gonna say?
Simon probably said what you were going to say, which is the player is an outer god.
Yes! Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, you can think that if you want. I think it's a little corny, but
Oh, I like that a lot.
I love corn, bro.
I think it does make literal sense. I think it's a little corny. I think it just makes more sense to be like, your guy is just really important.
There's no reason.
Yeah.
FromSoft has a tendency to make things that were not diegetic or into diegetic things. Like everything matters, including the player. All of the player's actions, including ceasing to play the game, has a meaning. And I think that is a reading of the text that is in line with that.
They a game of Dark Souls so hollow.
Yeah.
Yes. They just make the best games. They just
Well, the chosen Tarnished is actually in the.
Exactly. Is actually the furtive pygmy is probably the joke that was going to be made. Anyways, yeah. We're talking about the Crucible. I think we covered the Crucible pretty well.
Yeah.
Covered the Age of Crucible pretty well.
It's like Bio Bros, Bad Souls.
Yeah.
Having a good.
That's not the first age, but that's basically the first age.
That's the first age.
That's the first age.
That's the game.
That's the first age where humans matter. The age before that is Age of Dragons, because it's always the Age of Dragons.
Right.
And or the Age of Ancients. It's just dragons and giants. That's when giants were like fuck tall. You know when you're going around Caelid and there's a skull the size of a mountain?
Yeah.
They're from the Age of Ancients.
Yeah.
Like Ufyal, like Yeesh tall.
Yeah. They're all like literally a mile tall. It's stupid. That's also why the world is literally built on the foundations of that. That's why when you go around like the rim of Limgrave, there's all those giant fucking structures. Yeah. That's from the Age of Ancients. Yeah, that's real old shit.
Is the land between built on the body of a giant?
Probably not. I mean, it is built on the bodies of giants, literally. You can go see them. They're in Caelid.
Can you go to the? I want to go to the Boiling Isles.
Let's see.
And that's where the DLC should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's their three.
Yeah, that's their three kids. They have Godfrey, America. They have Godwin, who's pretty cool and great, and everyone loves him. He's a special boy. He is the first male of this line, which makes him the Empyrean of this line. An Empyrean it just means that you're in line for the throne, but it also means that God finds you important and takes direct control over your actions. That's important for another character. So, unrelated to this marriage,
after she breaks up with Horlu.
Yeah, after she breaks up with Godfrey and sends him out to and like banishes his army to outside the lands between, where they all just go off and die because they just want to fight forever. They go fight samurai or something. Whatever. After that, a bunch of time passes, and before the shattering happens, there is another marriage which is very important, and that's I'm gonna put it over here. It's a marriage between Radigan and Renala. Okay, so we'll do Renala because she's easier.
She's so easier.
She's so much easier. Okay, so Renala lives in Hogwarts.
Yes.
Raya Lucaria. Okay,
wizard school.
There was a wizard school that like is super, super ancient. You know, it was around during the Crucible.
The wizards are rich.
Yeah, they look at the stars. They're astrologers, and they interpret. They learn math by looking at stars, and then they interpret that with their really big brains, which they combine their brains with meteors in order to become smarter. And the better they get at math, the more precisely they can form magic bolts and shoot you.
They can calculate their traits.
Yeah, they can form a clearer image of it in their head, and that lets them do more complicated shit, like super big stuff. The stars are kind of an outer god, but they're not like one thing. They're just like literally all of the stars.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff is in the stars that's like real, like implied to be like as big as the greater will, but like in huge numbers.
Okay.
But like they just don't care about the lands between, or they don't affect it.
Yeah.
Like they're too far away. Yeah. Like if the greater will presides over the solar system, they're like out in the whole galaxy. So like they're just not doing the same things. Renala is the head of Raya Lucaria, so she is the head mage. Raya Lucaria is a matriarchal society, unlike the fucking patriarchy over here in fuck, what is this country called? I always forget. Langdell. Yeah, the capital Langdell.
We've slightly moved on, but I wanted to call it out that it sounds like magic in this system, this setting is lightly influenced by the direct writings of Jack Vance instead of Jack Vance filtered through Dungeons and Dragons. That's pretty satisfying to see.
It's definitely old alchemy shit. There is some direct references. Good research for command line. Good starting point of research for command line. Yeah, she's not a lizard lady. She's just a lady. Wizard lady. Yes, she's indeed a wizard lady. She is like 10 or 12 feet tall. She's really big. She does have no shoes. Because, well, Miyazaki has a type. Yeah, that's her deal. She's the queen. She's just the biggest and smartest. There's a bunch of other wizards who are important in like the backstory of that area, but we're not going to get into literally any of them because they don't matter to the overall story. We'll get into her children at one point because Ratigan marries Renala. People find this weird because no one knows who Ratigan is. In fact, it's a big mystery as to where Ratigan came from. I'm going to tell you my theory, which I think is pretty plausible. There is one reference to a guy who is not ever named from the Crucible Wars, or like the wars in the time of the Crucible, which I think is called the Grand Crusade, like literally, or the Great Crusade. Yeah. Anyways, it's like it's like one of the first battles. Well, the battles start in Caelid and then they move like south to cover Langdell. I think those guys come from Langdell. So they went east. They fought Caelid and conquered it, and then they went south to conquer the Weeping Peninsula. And in the Weeping Peninsula, there's a castle that's filled with like red-haired beastmen
at the
very southern point. And there's a giant monument there for a battle that was fought, and it says like, oh yeah, Godfrey fucking dueled a guy to standstill, which means that guy was really fucking badass. He was a red-haired warrior. Ratigan has red hair. That's like a really important thing about him.
Very important.
It's explicitly like the most important thing about him. Yeah, so Godfrey has fights a guy to a standstill in a place where he fights a red-haired warrior who was getting revenge for the death of his clan, who, to fight back against Godfrey, he took all the swords of his entire clan and forged them into one giant like blade. So you get a nice Game of Thrones reference in there, thanks George R.R. Martin. But also it's a big dumb sword that you can use. It's one of the like 7 legendary swords in the game.
Yeah. That kind of just comes out of nowhere, just like held by some scraggly goblin.
Yeah, it's held by some red-haired, scraggly like wolf man.
Yeah.
So
that was a very hard fight.
Yeah, he's a pretty early like semi-major boss, but he doesn't actually get you anything other than that sword and some lore. But yeah, that and for future evidence, I think kind of points to that guy back then was probably Ratigan. He was probably just a really big badass, and all of his people are dead, and now all that's left on the Weeping Peninsula is a bunch of beastmen, who are like lower life forms.
Like goblins.
Yeah.
Some of them have wings.
Some of them have wings. Some of them have like tails. Some of them are jellyfish. There's a jellyfish that are there.
Those are just jellyfish.
Yeah, there's magic jellyfish that
You
are.
just say that like it's true.
Okay. Hey, they have thoughts. They have souls.
I know.
You can talk to one of those.
They're like
That's.
Lots of things have souls that you wouldn't expect.
Anyways,
there's ant colonies.
there is ant colonies in the game. Anyways, yeah, that's where I think Radigan comes from. Anyways,
Who is Radigan?
Radigan's whole deal is that he wants to become whole because he feels like he's never been whole. So what he's doing is he's learning. He learns like higher level priest magic. He becomes a really good priest, and then he goes to Raya Lucaria in search of more knowledge. So then he starts his own type of magic called Golden Order Fundamentalism. It's pretty tight. Basically, it's a branch of magic. It's a branch of magic that requires both faith and intelligence. Yeah, it's the only magic in the game that's like that. It is specifically made to like counter undead, and it has the two like big laws in it that let you do this emote. That is important. We'll go to that emote later. Yeah, so Radigan marries Renala, presumably because he's just a super big badass and is also a super good wizard. And Renala needs a husband. And she does, and everyone else there is fucking old and ugly, and he's beautiful. He's got beautiful red hair. Now it says he has a red hair from a curse. Because at some point he also had to go fight giants.
Yeah.
I think he might have joined Godfrey's army.
I thought he showed.
I don't quite remember how it all works out, but at some point
It's literally not in the game.
It's literally not in the game. So like everything is just piecing together bits of lore to other bits of lore. But at some point, that might have been when that and that were. Anyways, we'll get there in a bit. Because whenever the last giant died, he like put a curse on a bloodline, on America's bloodline, which may have indirectly influenced Radigan because they become tied together at one point. Anyways, but first, before that, Radigan and Renala have kids. They have 3 kids. They have Praetor Rykard. Titles and Rykard.
Wait, his face name is Praetor?
That's his rank. He's also like
Okay.
Praetor.
Yeah.
He's also Rykard. He's done like a terrible deed. He's done like a terrible, horrible, awful thing.
Stuff happens.
That's totally not how you spell Radon. I don't remember how you spell Radon. A8. Much better. And Ronnie.
Yeah.
Now, Ronnie is born last. It's left to right. So Rykard's born first, Radon's the middle child, and Ronnie
That makes sense.
is the third child. Yeah.
Radon's in the middle.
Radon's the middle child, even though he's fucking huge. Yeah, so Ronnie, even though she is the youngest, she is in a matriarchal society, so she is the important one because she gains inheritance. When Ronnie is born, Rykard gets pissed off.
Oh, you've done an amazing.
No, that was intentional. We're gonna go down here in a minute. Mainline was meant to have 3 players. Anyways, Radigan and Renala, they have 3 kids. There's Rykard, who, because he's the oldest, at first he is big and important. He's gonna be God. He's gonna be like king one day. Then Radon comes along. Radon's just like, you know what? I'm not first in line. I'm just gonna become so fucking cool.
I'm gonna be the biggest, buffest super.
Yeah. So Rykard, he's all about that power. Radon, he's all about getting big. So what he does is he's also like a wandering warrior because the mages there, all the women are like, they're like royalty mages. So like they do super big magic, but they're they got their robes and shit. And some old guys are also like that. But most of them are like frontline knights who like also cast spells with like their swords and shields.
The coolest thing you can ever do.
Yeah, the coolest thing you can ever do, which is like take your sword, turn it into a 3 times larger glowing sword, and then like swing and shoot a laser out of it. They also like they weren't racist, so like they let giants join. So they have giants who are also like carrion knights. Who that's why there's that one giant in one area who is like the same generic troll that you fight all the time. But when he swings his sword, first off, he's got that big glintstone sword. Glintstone is the meteorite stuff. He's got a big glintstone sword, and when he swings it at you, he can fucking shoot lasers and he can cast spells. Oh, and he's got a helmet. That's what distinguishes him. Anyways, yeah. So Rykard, he's like a military leader, but like he's not down in the fucking dirt. Radon's like, dude, I'm just gonna master gravity magic so I can become the biggest guy. Because during the Shattering War, there's like there's a fight between these two because they're in different countries. There's a fight between these two families of their kids.
And some other guys.
And some other ones. We're gonna write those down in a minute.
Yeah.
Anyways, Radon gets like beat by Morgott in a fight that's in the opening cutscene for 1 frame. Morgott beats Radon, and in that picture, Radon is like way smaller. So after that, Radon goes off and he just trains gravity magic, and he gets to where he just is weightless. Like he has no apparent weight to himself. So he just grows without bound and becomes fucking huge. That's also how he can ride a normal-sized horse while being 40 feet tall.
Yeah, he was not stressing the horse out. Good for the horse.
Yeah, his horse is super old, but he loves his horse, so he never got rid of him. Yeah, it's awesome. That's why he's so fucking huge. Also, Radon, kind of to maybe to help, but also maybe to hinder Ronnie.
That's unclear.
It is unclear.
It's unclear his intention.
Unclear of his intentions, but he becomes so powerful he conquers the stars, which means that he is so powerful with gravity magic that he causes the stars to stop moving. He's who I was talking about. He's the one who halts fate. That's like post-chattering. That's like before the game starts. That's basically the last thing that has happened. A character we'll get to in a minute tries to go kill him and cause fate to start moving again, and it doesn't work because he was so big and badass. Yeah, that's Radon's deal. Then Ronnie is born. Ronnie upsets this power dynamic a little bit. I don't know what that noise is. What's that noise?
Someone's repetitive crunching.
Yeah, like.
Oh, sorry. Was that my windshield wiper?
Probably.
Okay, I guess it's fine.
I thought it might have been muted.
I guess you weren't. Anyway, so Ronnie gets born, upsets this balance a little bit, because now Ronnie is Renala's favorite child.
Yeah.
Because she's a girl. Makes sense. Rykard really looks up to his dad. Ronnie is raised by her mom. And Ronnie is just she's a mage girl. She is not blue. She has red hair like her dad.
Yeah.
Just like these two. They have red hair also. She is just a normal human. Like she's even normal sized.
Yeah.
She's just a girl. She at one point her her mother worships she studies the full moon. She studies the new moon because her mom told her you must find your own moon, and she at one point found the new moon and started to study, because they're nerds, not priests, but they're all nerds really. That's a big thing in Elden Ring, is that everything is actually the same thing.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's kind of tied into everything.
I love magic systems that are like that.
Yeah, it's great.
It's all a circle, a ring.
Yes.
Very good.
Very good. You're paying attention. I just remembered something really important that I haven't talked about yet, but we'll get there. So yeah, Ronnie is born. Nala really likes her. She's the Empyrean now. She's gonna be the next. She's the next in line. So the Greater Will takes notice and is like, "Hey, you're really important. You're gonna start following my orders now. I'm gonna start puppeteering your life." One of the things that the Greater Will does to people that it deems really important and wants to control their life, it gives them a protector animal. So like Godfrey got Sarash. He got the big tiger. Marika gets Malekith, who is like a big beast man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? No, Malekith is not her son.
Who the fuck is Malekith?
Malekith is just some guy.
Okay.
He's just a beast man.
Write him down so I know he's not.
I'll write him down.
I thought he was there.
No, he's not. He is her vassal.
Yeah.
Which means like, oh, this person will do anything you want as long as it is in the interest of the Greater Will. Yeah. They have like a soul bond to serve you. Ronnie also gets one. His name's Blythe.
Yeah.
Blythe's pretty righteous.
Like the
Yeah.
your biggest hope.
Yeah, no, he basically sees you and he's like, "What's up? We got to go do some stuff." And he's just a big wolf man. He has a wolf head, but other than that, he's a normal man.
Mm-hmm. Likes when you.
Yeah, he likes the sound of you doing the snap emote. And sometimes he howls at you.
Yeah.
Furries rejoice. Yeah, like that. It's pretty awesome. Anyways, Blythe and Ronnie, they're see Malekith. This is a bad power dynamic with Marika. She's a real girl boss like that. Ronnie and Blythe, they're fucking tight. They are like literally best friends. They're like were childhood raised together. So yeah, obviously that will end in tragedy.
Of course.
As we all know, in anime, the childhood best friend never wins.
Yes. So anyways, just like this marriage, eventually fell apart. So does this one. At some point, Ratigan leaves Renala.
Yeah.
It is publicly unknown why that is the case, but I can tell you a theory. So anyways, he leaves Renala for Marika. They become an item down here. They literally become an item. It's complicated. We'll get there. Yeah. So, Golden Order fundamentalism impresses Marika. Marika's like, hey, and Ratigan, his whole thing is that he wants to be one person. Now, Marika, her goals are less explicit, but they can be inferred by her actions somewhat. So, she caused the Age of Plenty to happen, and she was ruling over the Age of Plenty. Age of Plenty is pretty great. What does she want to do to extend the Age of Plenty? Well, there's this thing called death, which sucks.
Yeah, people die.
We don't like it when people are dying. What if we got rid of that?
Dying is something that is built into structure of the Elden Ring.
Yeah, dying is literally this part at the top. Yeah, it's literally like the most important part. Or maybe it's down here. It's one of those. It's one of the arcs. I think this bottom one is the rune arc, and I think this top one is... Yeah, and the top one is the Rune of Death, as it is called. So, yeah. Now, Marika is not actually in possession of the Rune of Death during the start of like the Crusades and all that. There's a rebel army who has that is led by a different character who we're not going to get into because I don't know anything about them, and neither does anybody else.
What's this character?
We only have their name,
Which is
the Gloam-Eyed Queen.
right.
Yeah, the Gloam-Eyed Queen has the Rune of Death. Anyways, Malekith is sent by Marika, assassinates that lady, which like presumably diffuses that army, takes the Rune of Death, and then puts it in his knife. Malekith becomes the only thing in the entire world that can kill something.
Forever.
Yes. Yeah. That happens like during the Age of Plenty or like right at the start.
Cool.
Yeah, Malekith's pretty fucking hardcore. Yeah, he's just a giant beastman in like huge gray robes, and he has a dagger, and sometimes he goes a little feral.
A dagger that's as big as your body.
Yeah.
Your player character.
Yeah. A dagger that's like this big.
Yeah.
That he can then pull the Rune of Death out of as a giant sword. He then becomes an anime protagonist and can jump around like a motherfucker.
So if he kills you, does it erase your save game?
It doesn't, and it doesn't, but it should.
Damn it. What the fuck?
It should.
Kojima would have done that.
Kojima would have faked you out because his boss fight is way too hard
Oh my god.
for that to be fair.
It's
Yeah.
really tough.
That's what I'm saying.
Make it easy.
Yeah. If you want to know why that doesn't kill you, literally no answer. It just should, but it just doesn't. Video game. There's some stuff like that in the story where it's like, doesn't that mean I should be permanently dead? And it's like,
Yeah, there's
yes.
There's some moments where deaths are canon and some moments.
Yes. Like anytime you're killed by a Rune of Death or a Rune of Death thing, it should kill you forever.
Right. Or like presumably in your fight with Horlu.
Yeah. Your death with Horlu. Well, if you die to Horlu and you turn the game off, that's pretty much canon. I guess, yeah. But that's the same for the other deaths. It doesn't delete your save. If you want to roleplay, you can delete your own save. Because there's a clear distinction between dying permanently. Like there's a different animation for it, but it just doesn't kill you permanently. Also because in PvP you can use weapons that do this. So imagine if someone could fucking invade you and then like fucking mega BLJ behind you and backstab you and kill you instantly and delete your save. That would suck.
Yeah, you get access to the.
Well, I don't know. I think that like that would definitely
also
go
Black
far.
Flame and a bunch of other stuff. Anything that causes Deathroot to sprout is that. We're gonna get to Deathroot in like literally 1 second. The root. Anyway, so Radigan and Marika, they get married because Radigan wants to become one thing who is like whole and perfect, and Marika
Conquer death.
wants to conquer death, but also conquer life.
Yeah.
And as a woman by herself, she can't do that. She needs to become hermaphroditic and like literally able to asexually reproduce, to propagate forever. That's like basically her goal, maybe. That's like the goal that you would infer from her actions.
That's random as hell.
Yeah, so they get married.
Yeah, she wants to be God and like create from herself.
Yeah, she wants to be able to literally like take a drop of. She wants to be able to form a drop of dew herself and then drop it, and it turns into a person. So Marika and Radigan, they get married, and their marriage is like hyper secret. All the people who are their courtiers get their mouths sewn shut. They are never like seen together. It's like really weird. No one really knows what's up with it. They get super staunchly religious about it. And that's because presumably they are the same person. Well, no, not presumably. They become one person. Okay, so there's an arc of the Elden Ring that is part of the Golden Order fundamentalism. Radigan deciphered it, and it is one of the laws that is like core to the entire Elden Ring, and it's the law of regression. And that's they use the law of regression to become one thing, like to regress from two beings into one. That's presumably how that happened, which is why when you go up to the statue, so there's a super special magical statue that's like in their like upper area in the capital city where their like castle is, like right outside the Erd Tree. There's a super special statue, and it's a statue of Queen Marika, where she's up on a cross like Jesus. It's explicit. She even has a spear in her side. Not in that statue though. That'd be too crass. But yeah, she's up in her pose like Jesus. If you go up to that and you do the law of regression, which is a spell, also you can learn it yourself only when you get there. It's like from a book that you get in that area. You can do that if you have really high intelligence and faith, and then the statue will disappear and turn into a statue of Radigan.
Of him with arms like perfectly T-posing.
Yeah, instead of her doing that, it's him doing this. Where
asserting dominance.
That's what it looks like when you do. That's what it looks like when you do his magic. Is that you strike a T pose and then you either do this, or like some combination of that. Yeah, because it's fun. It's super effective against dead people because his order is literally opposed to death. A lot of cool type effectiveness in Elden Ring that tells you story stuff. So yeah, they become literally one person, but that's like the biggest secret in the game. That's like literally, but also they show it. It's the first shot.
It is literally the first shot.
If you start the game, there is a picture of Marika, in grief once the Night of Black Knives happens and her son is killed and like all of her children are killed except for Morgott and Mohg because they're omens, so they're not allowed to inherit. They renounce their title when they are born as omens. They are not allowed to get it. Yeah, in grief, she shatters the Elden Ring like this, and she's standing like this, and then it
fades to black.
It fades to black, and then there's another sound of a hammer hit, and it's Radigan in the same exact pose, and he is reforging the Elden Ring.
Yeah, but it's a blink and you miss it. Forgiven for just thinking it's the same thing happening.
Yeah, you might just think it's the same character because they look very similar from the back.
They both have like big long braids and like a long draping clothing that has their back.
Yeah. The difference is that Radigan has red hair and she has gold hair.
Yeah.
And also when you go to fight them in the final zone, she's up on the cross, and then when you walk into the arena, the cross crumbles.
Yeah.
And then she falls, and then the camera pans down, and then Radigan stands up.
Yeah.
And then you have to fight Radigan. That's the second to last boss. The final boss is you fight the Elden Star.
Yeah, don't worry.
Which is a dinosaur, like whatever.
From space with a sword.
It's a dinosaur from space. It uses the Elden Ring as a sword. Pretty cool, I guess. You can use that. It lets you learn really stupid magic.
Mm-hmm. So they gem fuse.
Yeah, so they gem fuse, and then from that they have multiple children. And these are the last major characters we'll be introducing. They are. There's just 2 more. They only have 2 children. They're not quite twins, but they're
not quite twins.
Anyways, but they have their fusion babies. You have Melania and Mikola. Okay, so Melania and Mikola are super tight. Melania is the older sister of Mikola, who is kind of both genders.
Oh.
Mikola, it's unclear.
Mikola can give birth, but is a man, but also in the spirit world has an alter ego that is a woman.
And also,
God.
there's theories about like Mikola being lady characters.
Yeah, Mikola is only referred to as with male pronouns.
Yeah.
Alter ego is only referred to with female pronouns. Mikola can give birth. Make of that what you will. Mikola is basically stillborn. Is like fully grown but stillborn. Lives inside of an egg. Because children are born from eggs in this world, by the way.
Okay, I think that's the first thing in this lecture that I had absolutely no idea about.
Yeah, basically everyone comes from seeds
The storks
that drop
between
literally from the tree. Like, you know how you said like, oh yeah, like life used to pour out of the tree like crazy, like dew used to fall constantly. Yeah, people come out of the tree.
Now, have babies with each other though?
Yes, what happens is you get married, and then the tree will give you a child. It will like fall to
like
you.
Storks.
It actually is the stork.
That is not from a woman that's like.
It's somewhat metaphorical and somewhat not.
Right.
Also, you know, like if you're not like a human who's part of the greater will, you can presumably also just have children. Yes.
Okay.
But those over time, like, you know, you'll have genetic breakdown and then they will become closer and closer to Beastman. You'll go closer and closer to Crucible. So like to keep a bloodline pure, you have to keep getting from the Elden Tree. Or from the Erd Tree.
I love it when
so-
some piece of George R.R. Martin lore takes something very basic that we take for granted and then just completely overthrows it, such as the length of a season or the ability to die from old age.
Yeah, you pretty much don't die from old age. Yeah, birth being weird. Yeah, like...
And inbreeding being epic.
Mm-hmm. So...
Because you become a fucking beast, man.
Yeah.
That's not where the misbegotten comes.
Yes, or they're just like they've just been that way the whole time, and they're not part of the
bat people.
Maybe like they're definitely beast men. They definitely breed like beasts.
Yeah.
Who knows if they were humans at one point and then they devolved back, or if they've just always been devolved.
Yeah.
One or the other. They probably got wiped out at one point and then had to re-devolve. That would be my guess. Anyways, so Mikola's deal is a boy, but can give birth, blah, blah, all that weird shit. Melania is the blade of Mikola. Melania thinks Mikola is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So
she's just like kind of.
She's born with red hair.
Okay.
Now, red hair, Melania has red hair, Mikola has gold hair.
Right, and there's a curse.
That red hair is a curse that Radigan has. Because Radigan fused with Marika at one point in the future. So that curse works backwards for some reason. So, you know, because at one point, a giant went, fuck you, Marika, I'm cursing your bloodline.
Yeah.
And, like, that didn't turn her into having red hair. That made her children, presumably Morgan and Moog, cursed.
Yeah.
They got born as first omens. That made her children with Radigan, Melania's cursed because she has a different outer god influencing her. She gets born with rot. She is literally the singular source of rot in the lands between. Like
I didn't know she was born with it. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, like rot was not a thing. You know, things would be fed back to the tree, but they wouldn't really like decay. Because death wasn't it became a big deal when death stopped being a thing, because then things can only rot. They can only just turn into primordial goo. They can't actually die. So that caused that force in the universe to become stronger enough to take Melania and manifest out of her, and she's like constantly fighting it. Mikola is like, while being stillborn, is still like semi-conscious and able to take actions, but like lives in an egg. But Mikola like makes Melania, like helps Melania like get treatment basically. There's an item called Mikola's Needle that you can put in yourself to cure yourself of like all ailments. Melania has that. When you beat her, you get it.
I am Melania, Blade of Mikola.
If you get cursed by an outer god, which can happen, if you get touched by the three fingers, or like, that's pretty much it. That's the only time it matters. If you get touched by an outer god and like permanently cursed upon, you can use Mikola's needle on yourself, and it will purge it because it will keep it at bay. Melania has that, but she can pull it out as a devil trigger. She has done that 3 times. She does that 3 times total in all of the lore. She does that once when she's a kid, which like fucks up Caelid.
Why Caelid? Syphilis.
Yeah, that's why Caelid is Syphilis land. She pulls out. I'm not sure when her first one is actually, because that's her second one. That's when she's fighting Radon.
Right, and she needs to go all out.
Yeah, she's about to be like defeated, and then she goes all out. That's not the first time she does it. She's done it twice before the start of the game, and she does it again during her boss fight.
Right.
Yeah. So, Mikola,
Man, her having to do that during the boss fight means that you're incredibly badass.
She's really badass.
Oh yeah, she fucking murders so many people.
She's like,
dude. She
No,
doesn't.
I mean,
lose
you as a player character.
Yeah, I thought Tarvin meant to say like you, the player.
Yeah, narratively, you are literally the strongest guy. By the end of the game, you do literally time travel back to the start of everything to fight the first god.
I mean, you know, presumably, already killed her half brother who he had to pop DT.
Yeah, you've already beaten Radon.
Yeah.
But that is a weakened version of Radon, maybe. Maybe, who knows? Anyways, so Melania...
Melania also has the power of training mode against you, which is why she's actually stronger than the Rune of Death.
What does that mean?
Because she heals during the fight.
Oh.
And she just fights you forever. And she's the guy who actually gets you to quit the game for 6 months, not the guys with the Rune of Death.
Yes. Yeah, go do that. Go cure Shabriri grapes. Okay, so Melania thinks Mikola is really cool. Loves her little brother. Maybe Mikola was born a girl but raised as a boy. Anyways, for being considered a boy, Mikola is the Empyrean of their line. So by being an Empyrean, that means you're next in line. So the 3 that are next in line, I'm going to circle them. We got Gold, we got Godwin, we got Mikola, we got Ronnie. They're the big ones. So Melania is the Blade of Mikola because Mikola doesn't have a vassal because the Greater Will doesn't care about him. So Melania is just like, no, my sword for you, dude. You're totally fucking... I love you, and yeah. So Mikola and Melania literally just go off to make their own Erdtree. They exist in an
Black
optional
chicken
area.
hookers.
They exist in an optional area called the Heilig tree. A Heilig tree. It's a tree where for all the sick, basically it's for all the people who everyone is racist towards. So artificial life forms, like rot people, Nox people,
Velociraptor dogs.
banished mages, no velociraptor dogs. There is ants. Yeah, an ant. Got ants there. They also got this weird like bulbous guys who are shaped like gourds. That's because those guys are there to usher in a new age. They're not spirits. They are literally guys, but like they play the trumpet to bring about a new age. Bible. Yeah. So that's what they're doing. They kind of just like remove themselves from the whole thing of like all this shit. They go as far away as possible into a secret location across a barren, icy field of nothing. In order to use Miquella's blood to raise a new tree, because Miquella's immortal and has like a lot of juice, but like can't use it because they're stillborn, because they just live in an egg. Anyway, so the Shattering War happens because the Knight of Black Knives. The Knight of Black Knives is a plot by Ronnie to she wants to rid herself of the Greater Will. She's trying to overthrow the Greater Will and be like, fuck you, I'm not doing any of that shit. Yeah. Because the Greater Will, by assigning her an Empyrean, by making her that important, has basically said, okay, you're going to be put on a cross and be forced to pump out babies for the rest of your existence. And she's like, that's cringe, I hate that. I'm going to like literally oust the entirety of the Greater Will and make everyone free of the Greater Will. She just wants everyone to have freedom. Damn the consequences. If that means that the entire world like rots, fuck it.
So the Greater
like
Will is what's making Ronnie a rage this week.
For sure.
Yes. So Ronnie does the Knight of Black Knives, where she sends assassins after Malekith. She sends an army of fucking guys to jump Malekith. They steal just a piece of the Rune of Death, and they forge it into a knife. And the knife looks like exactly how it's like curved blades or something. Something like that. Anyways, it's this big spiky dagger that can permanent kill things. She makes 2 of them actually, and she has her plan, which she executes right before the start of the game, basically. Not right before, but right as this causes the Shattering War. She assassinates Godwyn, her brother-in-law, with one of the blades, and she takes the other one and she uses it on herself. So what it's doing is that the blades are the same. They're like the same blade because they're made out of the same thing. So when they are used on someone, it kills them in the 2 ways that everything is, which is everything has a body and everything has a soul. So she needs a sacrifice for a soul because she wants to keep her soul and ditch her body because her body is what is being controlled by the Greater Will. So she kills Godwyn's soul, and at the same time, somewhere else, she sacrifices her own body. That causes her to just become a spirit who can just kind of teleport and like is a ghost. She also makes a puppet body that she can just like inhabit. She makes a few of those. There's a wizard guy who makes that for her, who's like, that's my thing, I make puppets. He's a weirdo.
Yeah.
We don't like him. He's got a real rapey vibe.
Yeah.
Not cool. Yeah. So she does that. She kills Godwin. Godwin fucking dies. He turns into a giant fish man and also turns into 2 giant fish man. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's not explained. But he dies. America gets sad. She gets real sad because her baby died. And her other baby's stillborn, and like the greater world doesn't like him. And the other Empyrean's fucking dead.
Rough.
But like half dead. So she gets depressed and she takes the Elden Ring and she just fucking hammers it and just canceled. And when that happens, the Elden Ring turns into a bunch of fragments, and then all the fragments go to basically everyone here gets one except Ronnie.
What about
And yeah.
what about Godric?
Godric is like a distant descendant of this marriage.
Yeah.
He is like Godfrey's like great infinite greats grandkid. He also has a shard because he technically becomes like
He's
that line's Empyrean technically. Well, he's not an Empyrean because Greater World doesn't care about him.
okay.
But he does. Like, he has a castle, he leads an army, he gets a fragment.
Yeah.
The fragment is a thing that people are fighting over. It's like an object you can hold. It's also like a concept. Morgott, Moog both have shards. Melania has a shard. Rykard, Radon has a shard. Renala has a shard. And then Godfrey has a shard. And I think that's about it. I think that's 8. That's 3, 6, 7 for that guy. I don't remember what the 8th one is.
8th one just half of the.
Oh yeah, because Malekith has the rune of death. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only need like 4. I think it's 4. You need 3 and the rune of death to beat the game. So yeah, you show up and like to become Elden Lord, you need to get 3 of these and then the rune of death. You don't know that right off the bat, but that your maiden in waiting, who definitely didn't kill your other maiden dude.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she just was dead to a stab wound, and then another lady showed up like, "Hey, your maiden dead?
I can do it for you.
I can be your maiden, like kind of. Just listen to what I say, and I'll help you out." So you do that. She gives you stuff. She gives you here's items that let you heal. Here's a horse. That horse used to be Ronnie's master's. Ronnie at some point meets you through you knowing Melina. She comes along like, "Oh, Melina's helping you out? Here, have an item. Bye."
Yeah.
Are eternally mysterious. Now, her name. I'm gonna just put her. I'm just gonna put her down here. That's where I'm gonna put her. No particular reason. Anyway, she has red hair. Yeah, it's red hair. She has red hair. She's missing one eye that has a tattoo over it. Her doll is missing. Her doll body is missing one eye that has a tattoo over it. When she talks, she has a ghost that forms over the eye. There's that ghost face that overlaps with her face halfway, where the ghost face left eye is missing and her right eye is missing. And Melina's face matches that ghost face. No one knows what that means.
No.
We're pretty sure that Melina is a daughter of Marika, probably also in Radigan.
Yeah.
No one knows about her at all, but she does definitely have a special connection to America. Sometimes she can she will tell you things that only America knows. Like she'll be like, you'll arrive in America's bedchamber, and then she will tell you a conversation that America had in here with Radigan. Yeah, she'll tell you about the conversation America and Radigan had before they fused. That was the last conversation they had, and then they fused. Yeah, she can also be summoned for not the final boss fight, but for the boss fight with Godfrey, which is right at the base of the Erd Tree. That's the one time you can summon her in the game. That is, you have to go to like Farum Azula and like all that shit. Yeah, no. So you think it's gonna be the final boss, and then actually you need to go on a whole quest, but it's through multiple big final areas. But yeah, Melina, she shows up there. She has a special connection with America. She has red hair. She has that weird eye thing that she has in common with Ronnie. She's not an Empyrean, presumably because she's a girl and Mikola is alive and also immortal. Mikola's really cool.
Any updated Mikola?
And Melina also, a spell that only she can cast. This is the only time a NPC that's just a human player with some items, like a default NPC. She has a unique spell where she spawns an Erd Tree. She spawns like a 20-foot incarnation of the Erd Tree, which like causes you to get healed if you stand underneath it.
What?
Yeah. You can summon her with with Godfrey. It's a totally unique spell.
What?
It's not in the rest of the game. Real weird. I'm gonna go with the obvious thing of, because some people think like, oh, is she America? And it's like, okay, that gets way too weird. That gets way too weird, way too fast. Makes way more sense if she's just America's daughter or something. But technically, she could also be America through some totally fucked means. Who knows?
Yeah.
An attempt at America's attempt to like asexually split herself.
Maybe. America at the start of it. America has half of her face missing. Yeah. Melina dies at one point during the story. Unless you do the ending that I got, which is the chaos ending. We'll get to those. So anyways, here's what happens. You fight some combination of guys to get some stuff happening. And you show up there, you fight Godfrey with Melina, you beat Godfrey. And you're like, cool, I can go in the tree now, right? Because you're right there. The door to the tree is right there. And it's like, the tree's closed. Radigan, like, willed it to close because he has a pattern. One of the patterns that appears in all of his spells is like a lattice structure. That's what the joke is about the lattice structure we've been making.
Wait, no. You could fight Radagon after you fight Godfrey. It's after you fight Morgoth is when it's closed. But when you get back to Godfrey, you just continue from there.
Oh, okay. You're right. Never mind. You fight Morgoth there, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go up. But first, you got to go on a quest. You have to burn the Erd Tree in order to get inside, because it's grown like roots over the doorway, and the Erd Tree is literally like the most powerful thing ever. You can't just cut through it. Yeah. So you need to go on a quest to get the Rune of Death, and you can use the Rune of Death to burn the Erd Tree. That's the only thing powerful enough to do it. That and like the primordial flame of the giants, because the giants have a primordial flame that's been burning for all of eternity. You need those two things. Just like Dark Souls. So you go to the land of the giants. You find the last giant who cursed America and Radigan. You beat him. He has red hair. He cursed Radigan to have red hair. Yeah, he does also have a Saturn storm inside of his eye. His belly that is an eyeball. because he has the outer god of flame in his stomach. Yeah, he's like mega immortal. But you do kill him, and then the outer god leaves, I guess. Anyways, yeah, you get the primordial flame. Melina uses it to burn the Erd tree, and then you have to go to fight Malekith. Malekith has retreated to a place called Farum Azula. Now we're going to get into an entire tangent of weird shit that we haven't even touched yet. We haven't even talked about the Eternal Cities. We haven't talked about any of the underground. Okay, so what's Farum Azula? Farum Azula is the Dragon Land. Farum Azula is like a super mega city that currently, during the game, exists in a tornado in the middle of the ocean. It's just flying around a tornado, and it's eternally like in the sky. It's been there for like literally all of time. No, not all of time. It is back at... So it is in the middle of a vortex, the closer to the center of which is closer to the beginning of time. When you get into the eye of the storm, you're at the beginning of time. That's why Malekith is there and also in a different place. And yeah, that's a little weird. It's a little hard to explain. Basically, do you know how black holes work? Does everyone know how a black hole works? What time dilation is? Is anybody there?
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so...
I said yes earlier.
Okay, I didn't hear that, sorry. Yeah, the closer you get to a black hole, basically the slower time becomes. Yes?
I'm here. I'm smart, and I know how black hole works.
Alright, cool. Stand up here and explain so you want to get water.
Okay. This is a black hole. The closer you get to the horizon, time like slows down for you. Like the rate at which things happen, singularity, is slower than the rate that happens farther away in comparison to.
Yeah, if you're close to a black hole, everything that's not close to a black hole looks like it's going super fast.
Yeah.
If you're far away from a black hole, it looks like everything that's going on in the black hole has like stopped in time. So you get close to, you go to Farum Azula. It's a land like of super far in the past. So it's a bunch of beastmen that worship ancient dragons. They're from like there's like Crucible stuff there. Dragons are pre-Crucible. They're like the first gods. They didn't like worship the Elden Ring, but they had where's Placidusax's deal with the Elden Ring? Placidusax had a different order. Yeah, that's right. Because the Elden Ring has changed over time. This is its current incarnation, but like the older forms, it was like in a tree or in a Celtic cross. There's a version of it that's in the Celtic cross, and that's like from the Age of Plenty. This is it, like right before the Shattering. The version of it during the Crucible it's a tree, and the roots are rings, and there's just a ton of overlapping rings, and that's the Age of the Crucible. There's statues of that in Farum Azula, but there's also statues of like an even more chaotic pattern, and that's like from like the first age, like even before the Crucible, before humans. That's prehistoric, literally prehistoric. Back then, they have like Mesopotamian vibes Yeah, in the dinosaur world, they have
Mesopotamia.
where they have like there's like open graves where where you bury a dead person in concrete and then you implant gold into the concrete. Because gold's really important. Gold's important to literally all of these. The reason you're tarnished is that you lost your gold. When gold rusts, it becomes tarnished and it becomes red. That's what tarnished is. Radigan is a tarnished, by the way. I forgot to mention that. He is a tarnished.
Yeah.
Because he was part of that army and then he like left and came back of his own will or something. Yeah, his backstory is literally the most fucking vague thing ever. Because it's all just like the direct textual backstory for Radigan is this guy married Renala and no one knew who he was, but he was really good at magic and also really good at fighting, and that's about it. Everything else is just inferences. And then people will get extra surprised that some guy who just married Renala had 3 kids and bailed, bails to marry God. And God's like, yeah, you're cool. Welcome to being God with me. Yeah, they're 2 people, one person, but they have separate wills. So when her kids die, she shatters the Elden Ring, and he's trying to fix it. So he's trying to stop you the whole time. He's just trying to keep everything how it is, and he sucks. But he's also really cool. Anyways, so you need to go get the Rune of Death. Malekith has the Rune of Death, the rest of it. And you have to go to Farum Azula. Farum Azula, Dragonland. It's a big city in the sky. You have to jump between a bunch of different platforms. If you go to the center of the tornado and lay down, time will stop and then reverse. And then you'll go back in time to like before the city was crumbled.
Fight the first dragon.
Yeah, and fight it. I think his title is also First Elden Lord. Placidus Axe.
That's his...
No, wait.
Ricardo, look up what
fact-check
Placidus
that.
Axe's title is. I can't remember. It's something like
It's
that.
not. I think it's like the first dragon or something.
Someone look it up. I'm
looking up pictures of tarnished gold because I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. And then I remember that gold, as it is commonly found, is these days called electrum. It's where we get the word electron from.
Mm-hmm.
It occurs as an alloy of gold and silver and up to 5% copper, I think. Anyway, really, really cool thing, and it does in fact tarnish. And it just never even occurred to me that they would have used the historic gold instead of modern elemental gold.
Yeah. Righteous.
Yeah. Placidus Axe title is just Dragon Lord Placidus Axe.
Dragon Lord. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Not Elden Lord, because that Elden is a greater will thing.
Oh, minor detail that I think all of you will care about is that what we think of as elemental gold in those days was called crucible gold.
Yeah. No, it's all textual.
Another fun fact. So the 2 fingers always look like...
They're a full hand, but they only have the 2 fingers.
Volume.
Like the palm is there.
Yeah.
And they like rest on it like a huge butt.
This actually big 2-headed dragon. When you
Yes.
find it, like levitates and has his 2 heads.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like how the
Does
2
he have
fingers
more
are
heads, or
like
does he just have
oriented.
2?
No, he just has to.
Okay.
He just has to. He gets a really long tail.
Gotcha. Yeah, Placidus Axe is there. You can fight him. He's an optional super boss.
Yeah.
He's not that hard.
No.
But he's cool. Anyways, so then you go to fight Malekith. Malekith, he fights you in his first form. He's a different guy. He has a different title that he's been hiding under. He's like the Beast Lord or something. Yeah, he's in charge of the. He does beast spells, which are strength-based spells, because they're all Crucible related. And they're all about throwing rocks and like cutting people or like growing body parts. Yeah, you can like grow wings with one of those spells. Pretty righteous. Yeah.
Yeah, my preform Malekith is called Beast Clergyman.
Beast Clergyman, yeah. And then he like takes the robe off. He's like actually a huge scrawny guy. He pulls out of his hand where he has the Rune of Death sealed in his knife. He pulls out of his knife a bigger sword that is the Rune of Death. He does. Yeah. He's righteous. Anyways, you beat him. You take the Rune of Death. You use it to weaken. You use it to enable the burning of the archery, and then you burn it with the primordial fire. The thing that you use as kindling for the fire, you use Melina. Melina burns herself in the fire. There's another way you can get around that, but it results in a much worse ending. That's the ending I got. Anyways, yeah. You burn the archery, you go inside, Marika is there, turns into Radagon, you fight Radagon. After that, you then fight the Elden Star, which is turned into a dinosaur, and you fight the dinosaur, and then you fight it in an arena of Erd trees, implying that it has control over multiple planets.
It looks like Ash.
Yeah, it looks like Ash Lake. There's like infinite trees going off in the distance, which to me implies that you are fighting on a global stage, and all those other Erd trees are Erd trees on different planets. Because the Erd tree is explicitly a parasite. Yeah. Yeah. It was draining all the life anyways, and getting rid of the Rune of Death meant that all the life that was there was just slowly withering. And anytime someone got really weak, they'd be taken into a mausoleum, and instead of being like buried for dying or like being burnt to ash so they can have their spirit released, they would just be put into the roots of the Erd tree, and the Erd tree would just suck them up very slowly. Those guys are still alive. They just can't move and are eternally suffering. Yeah, until you get an ending. I guess it's a good time to talk about endings.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I didn't talk about why Farum Azula is in the sky.
You did.
Yeah. So Farum Azula is in the sky. Why is it in the sky? Because a different meteor crashed into Farum Azula and knocked it into the sky at one point. That meteor was called Estelle Starborn.
Yeah.
Estelle Starborn is a baby outer god who has crashed into the planet.
Yeah, she's like a centipede.
Yeah, with a skull as a
human skull. With a
yeah, and then giant pincer teeth, and then like six arms on rocks, and is a giant bug.
Yeah,
He is a nightmare scorpion.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That thing is a mega danger. Anyways, it crashes into Farum Azula, which used to fill up the crater in the middle of the lands between. That used to be filled with Dragonland. That's why there is a bunch of dragons like around Caelid, and like there's a whole ritual zone over there for them. That's where the dragon communion statues are, yo.
Yeah.
Pretty tight. Yeah. It might have been that the land itself, it might have had a hole in the middle. It might have just been a ring. Forget. Either it was in the middle directly or it was off to the side. I think it was in the middle though. Because the land is shaped like a C. It's like C shaped. Yeah, but Estelle not only crashed through and like destroyed that entire empire and launched into the sky forever, also crashed into the underground cities because this entire underground city.
Where are they?
Okay, they're underground because America is a race trader.
Right.
Because they're all what are referred to as Newman. That's a race you could have at the start of the game. You can be a Newman.
Like gray skin.
Yeah, they're gray-skinned, like huge guys who are really powerful but are seldom born.
That's what I chose.
That's also what I chose. Because that sounds cool. Why would you not pick that? America is a Newman. Which is an interesting part of her backstory. That implies that she's from there, or that basically just means that she is from there. From an Eternal City. So the Eternal Cities, they worship like the night sky, like the stars in general, which the Greater Will found to be unlikable, and they kind of there was a war during the Age of Plenty where there's a war during the Age of Plenty where in order to escape the influence of the Greater Will, because currently in the Age of Plenty there's no death because America has removed death from cycles, and America has full control over births because she is like fused with the Erd Tree. So if you want to be able to have your own children and not be like cosmically like denounced and ready to be murdered, because the Greater Will be like, hey, everyone with grace, go kill them. They were the Eternal Cities were committing the sin of trying to create artificial life from silver. So there's 2 generations of those. There is the first generation Albinorics, who are like a bunch of like gray guys who are like old men whose legs don't work. That's how Mikola is, but Mikola is similar to them, but only in form, not actually in material. But Mikola likes them, so lets them come stay at the Haley Tree. So there's a bunch of Albinorics there. They're just guys made of silver who were born of silver, and they have silver bodies. But they decay and they don't last very long. They have also the Eternal Cities were matriarchal, which is probably why America was probably a big deal there. What else about them? There's a second generation of Albinorics, but they're not as intelligent. They're made simpler. That's like, a sphere. There's a sphere that's alive. It's made of liquid silver, and it will just roll into you and kill you. That's the enemy. But that ball is literally alive. They also have little funny frogmen who just like basically stab you. They're like little funny goblin guys. They've got like gray alien faces. The Knight of Black Knives, all those assassins, they were Newmen. They were from the Eternal Cities. Basically, Ronnie manipulated them because they presumably fucking hate America because she's a race trader. And they were like, yeah, we're gonna fucking kill all of her children. That's why there's only this many kids and not like generations, even though it's been like so many years. The Knight of Black Knives was like scores of royalty were murdered, and then now it's been like an indefinite amount of time since that time, or since that night. Any questions about the Eternal Cities? Oh, Estelle lands in one of them and devours the night sky down there. They all have artificial night skies because they worship the night sky. And they were banished underground by Queen America, basically by being like, "Oh, you're trying to make artificial life. I send my army after you, and I force you underground." Vague on vague on how, but it happened. And like, if you look at the map, it's possible that like literally the city was inverted, because the eternal cities are usually on the bottom of cave, or like on the roof of caves. That city looks like it's upside down, and then there's a bunch of other guys down there who are just hanging out. Real spiritual place. But in one of those caves down there is Estelle, and he's just hanging out, eating nightmares, getting bigger. Yeah, that's presumably one of the things that Radon wanted to deal with by causing the stars to stop. He stops all meteors, but when you kill Radon, a few more of those just like crash into different parts of the map.
Yeah.
Fun times. Are you the good guy? Who knows? Anyways, that's what the Eternal Cities are.
Yeah.
We kind of barely touched on them.
As for the "Are you the good guy?" question, that something that I've been wondering for a while here is how cognizant canonically the player character is of any of this.
It's all through bits and pieces.
I would say it's implied that your character knows about all this shit. Like, so you can have, so there's multiple starting classes, but they kind of come with a backstory rolled into it. You know, your character never speaks, so it's all kind of implied by your actions, what you do. But like, you can be a guy who is like you can be the hero starter. The starter of hero is like a warrior guy, like a barbarian. That is explicitly what Horaloo's deal was. That means that you were like directly working with Horaloo, and I don't know why that happened. I don't know why that opened. Anyways, that means you were explicitly a guy of Horaloo. You can start as a like mage knight looking guy, like a vanguard, and that means you're from Raya Lucaria. That means you probably know all this shit about, like, you probably know who Radagon is. Well, everyone's gonna know who Radagon is because he's so important. You're gonna know who Renala is, and you're gonna know all these guys. You've probably met some of them, because you know you were part of like a big exclusive army, or you're a descendant of a guy who was like that.
Or there's the bird tree.
Yeah. Which is kind of a higher level of that. That's like the new Golden Order fundamentalism is like overtaking Erdtree stuff.
Yeah.
And the Greater Will is fine with it because it's like, yeah, whatever. I'm in power for both.
Yeah.
They can both coexist. There's a giant turtle who tells you about how stuff can coexist.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
He's pretty cool. He's like, yeah, dude, magic was combined with Erdtree stuff to make Golden Order fundamentalism. That's pretty cool. That means that nothing has to be a sin. It's only a sin because of our perspectives.
Yeah.
That's what he tells you.
I love that Pope.
Yeah, that's a turtle with a Pope hat. He tells you that. He tells you that in the church where Marika and Radagon get married.
Do you think that turtle?
I hope so. Why was it a turtle? Now, I want to point out that in like literally hundreds of hours of research, there is not any reference to why he is a turtle. He just is.
He's just a wise turtle.
He's a turtle who can talk. There is no other turtles who can talk? Is there? Protector?
How like all the cool guys have
Oh.
these protectors.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think he's Radagon of these protectors?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't think Radagon just carried a tortoise with him forever. Also, he's not an Empyrean. If anything, he would be Miquella's. But Miquella has Melania, and like, the Greater World doesn't care about that. All right. Do we have any questions so far? We've gone over a lot, and I have more directions I can keep going in, because this is infinite. You can go in all directions forever. I heard the start of a question from Keegan.
Oh no, I'm at work, so I'm exerting myself. I was wondering if maybe the turtle, yeah, if the turtle isn't some kind of guardian beast, isn't some kind of animorph familiar stand thing granted by the greater will, then then that would make it the Colonel Volgan of the game.
How so?
Colonel Vulcan? It's not
Colonel
relevant.
Volgan from Snake Eater.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm aware, not even in spin-off material, there is zero reason to ever justify why this one random Russian guy has electric powers.
Gotcha. No, he just has electric powers. Who cares? Anybody else have a question? Because I could just start on Ronnie's story.
What do you think?
Oh, we haven't gone
given
into
the
Moog
information
yet. I forgot about Moog and Morgoth.
Moog.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the
Okay.
Tragic Brothers.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about the Tragic Brothers, Moog and Morgoth. So these guys are opposites, kind of. They took opposite roles. So they were both born Omen-born. That means that they immediately had to renounce their title, their rank and title, because they don't fit within the Greater Will's like religion, because they are crucible, like cursed. They got horns and stuff all over them. Morgoth is ashamed of this. He like lives in penitence to the Greater Will as like basically like his family position is like secret. He just like lives to serve the Greater Will, and he's basically a total narc. We don't really like him, but he is quite punished, so at least feel bad for him, kind of. You know, during when the shattering happened, he was just like, "Okay, everyone, calm the fuck down."
Yeah, Morgoth was trying.
He was just like he beat Radon, and he didn't kill him. He was just like, "Okay, stop fighting. Everyone needs to stop warring." And when you show up to start shit, like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill a shard bearer,"
Yeah.
he goes,
Like, no.
Morgoth's like, no, we're not doing this shit, because this shit will end in like some kind of change in power structure, and he wants things to stay how they are because he's working for Radigan. That's Morgoth's deal. Total narc. Moog, he was born cursed, and Moog was like, "I'm cursed. You're cringe." Moog is like, if you think I'm cursed, then fuck you. I'm then he had a dream at one point that he was contacted by the Mother of Blood in like a nightmare dream. The Mother of Blood is a different outer god who is barely referenced in the game. Like 3 item descriptions maybe. Yeah. That's who Moog worships. So he starts to worship the concept of blood. Who has the best blood in the world? Mikola. Mikola has the best blood in the world. So whenever the Shattering War happens, Melania is like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna go fight Radon." Melania's like, "I'm gonna go fight Radon." Oh, so Melania fights Radon because Radon is holding the stars,
Right.
and she thinks that might cause Mikola to begin growing more. Or cause Mikola to, or like let Mikola grow the Haley tree more. Presumably, that's inferred. But yeah, so she goes out to fight Radon. When she goes out to fight Radon, Mikola is left alone for a while. Moog shows up and kidnaps him.
Yeah.
So Moog,
away.
yes. So Moog's explicit plan is he is going to marry Mikola, and because Mikola is an Empyrean, and by marrying Mikola, he'll become the Lord of Blood. But that plan doesn't work because Mikola does not reciprocate to him, so they never consummate marriage. Yeah. No, cold-shouldered from an egg.
He's like a
Literally an egg. I find this hilarious. I find the concept of Mikola being an egg hilarious. In that one art of Mikola in the DLC, they're riding side saddle because they're a woman or something. Hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, Mikola is kidnapped by Moog, and Moog just has like a giant. He's just built a mausoleum with like a bunch of red albinorics. Presumably he like took the technology of making guys out of silver and made guys out of blood. And they're his servants. Yeah. They're tougher. I don't know if that's video games, just that it's a late game area, so they're tougher. Usually that's not the case in Elden Ring. Usually if something's tougher, it's because it's a bigger deal. So, you know, maybe that's why he was able to just fucking swipe Mikola. But anyways, that's where Mikola is at the start of the game, actually. Mikola has like some essence that's in the Haligtree. If you look at the Haligtree in Melania's cutscene, the tree roots are like a portrait of Mikola.
Yeah,
they're shaped like him, and there's like a womb pictured there that's like hollow, which is presumably where Mikola's like egg was or something. Yeah. Rykard. We can talk about Rykard's whole deal.
Yeah, no, we're cleaning up the sort of less important kids.
The less important kids who you are more likely to skip or miss. So Rykard can't skip Morgan. Yeah, no, you can't skip him. Actually, you can. Well, okay, you have to fight him at some point.
Yeah, you have to fight.
You fight him at least once, but you can skip that first fight, I think. And go around the castle. Rykard, he was firstborn. He was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to inherit the throne. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be an Empyrean. And then I'm going to get like the baddest bitch ever, and we're going to have the coolest fucking mage army, and we're going to rule the world, literally. I'm going to literally become God. That's totally righteous. I like it. Then Radahn is born. He's like, cool, Radahn, you are now a member of my armies. He's like a general. And then Ronnie is born, and that fucks all of his plans. Because he's like, oh shit, I have a daughter. I have a sister now. Sister, even though she's younger, she's gonna get that. She's gonna get that role. I think that's bullshit. So then he,
What does he do?
he decides to worship a different god.
Which is
He finds a snake.
yeah.
He finds a snake, and the snake tells him that if he lets the snake eat him, he can become one with it, and that snake is like a super powerful like ancient beast. And he forms a like cult in a volcano that is like a cult of the snake. And they're like the evil hunter faction. Basically their whole cult deal is that they take people, they sacrifice them to the snake, and then the snake will give birth to snake people, who then form the army. Rykard has fused with the snake, kind of like Radagon and Marika, or any of the other billion fusions that we've discussed. So that's why Radagon is a face on the side of a giant snake.
On the side of a snake that one snake action makes an enemy.
Yeah, that are just like raw with no skin. And that's how he holds a sword. He is yeah. Yeah, that's what he's got going on. That's like the invasion faction. You know, you go around. Their quest is, hey, there's going to be a tarnished guy here. Go get him, kill him, and then it's implied that you bring them back there, and then they are like fed to the snake. And when you get to be like the biggest badass here, you get the opportunity to sacrifice yourself to the snake and fuse with it.
Yeah.
The end of that quest line is you get to fight Rykard, because you get put in there and you're like getting eaten by a snake is cringe. I'm gonna fight this snake. And then there's a super weapon on the ground that's built to kill the snake. There's always a super weapon fight in one of these games. So you pull the super weapon out of the ground. It's a giant laser cannon, and you shoot the snake. That's Rykard's quest.
It kind of feels like it comes out.
It's just sitting over there.
Yeah, did it.
I didn't do it, but I did fight the snake. I don't remember how I did that. Oh no, I fought the snake. I think I did the quest. I didn't do the dungeon that's there. I didn't know there was a dungeon there. Yeah, but that's Rykard's deal. Have we talked about everybody? We haven't done Ronnie yet. Because Ronnie's the whole thing. Talk about Laney, talk about Nicola, we did talk about some for Melina, but Melina's vague. Talked about these. Godwin doesn't really have anything. Because he's just dead before the game starts. He's just a perfect golden baby, and then he dies. And he turns into 2 fishmen that are at the... Yeah, okay, so that is important. Okay, so he gets killed with... He gets his soul killed when Ronnie sacrifices her body and his soul at the same time. His body is still alive, but it's infected with death. So it has a thing called death root growing out of it, so he's just growing forever. He turns into a fish.
Yeah, his body doesn't stop growing. Flesh and skin.
Yeah, maybe it's like a crucible thing. Presumably it's like a crucible thing. The weird thing is that there's 2 of them. There's one of them that's in the bottom. Yeah, like under the entire world. You can go under the Erd Tree, and in the roots of the Erd Tree there is one of his bodies there. It is causing Deathroot to sprout all over the Erd Tree. Yeah, and if you get pierced with them, they kill you forever. Yeah, they delete your soul. Under Stormwind Castle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why that one's there. I mean, that one, it kind of makes more sense than the one that's under everything. We haven't talked about Rune of Death shit, but we're gonna go for Ronnie. Ronnie's more clickbait. Dude, everyone loves Ronnie. And she's related. What?
Fuck Ronnie. When's Dung Eater?
Okay, we can talk about Dung Eater. We can put Ronnie off. Okay, so Dung Eater. Dung Eater is he's not a shard bearer, he's a tarnished. He's like you. He's a peer of yours. His whole deal is that he thinks that Omenborn are really cool and awesome. He thinks Omenborn are like the proper race, and that they should be like fucking put back. And in order to put them back on top, the Dung Eaters, his goal in life is to assassinate people, go to people who are really big and important, beat them into submission, and then curse them to be omens. By doing unspeakably rapey things to them. He like puts a seedbed curse, which is like a pile of worms that are made of horns in blood. He like fists it into you, literally. He like ties people. He'll like get you in a chair, tie your wrists behind you, and tie your legs to the chair. Yeah, it's fucked up. If you follow him around enough, he does that to a bunch of characters, and it's sad. And then like you find them dead. That means something about omens is that they can't be returned to the Erd Tree. Like the Erd Tree literally will reject them. So returning to the Erd Tree is how death works. It's in the form of Isu?
They have the I have kowtowed to the thing that he hates me. And the base brother who's like, oh my brother.
Yeah.
You should not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the dung eater's deal. He basically does that a bunch until at the end of his quest line, he's like, okay, now do me. Yeah, you can do that.
No safe word.
No safe word. No. They don't show that on screen. That's all implied. But like, yeah. He does that to Crab Guy. Poor guy. There's a guy who serves you crabs. Yeah, he fucks up Crab Guy because Crab Guy's some guy. He's some other Tarnished like you.
Like sewer.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
wanna buy a sundial?
All right. Do you have any more questions before I go to Ronnie? No? Okay. Feel free to pipe up with questions anytime. Anyways, Ronnie. Ronnie's whole deal, you know, she wants to sever herself from being an Empyrean because she thinks being an Empyrean is fucking cringe. Which, yeah. She did it in a very dramatic way, okay?
Yeah.
She probably could have done it in a less dramatic way, but that's how she did it. So she gets a crew, which you get to become a crew member of.
Yeah.
Got Blyde, who's like her Nightman. She's got Egrid, EG, who is like a giant who works for her, who isn't affected by the stars. He isn't affected by the greater will. He isn't affected by any of that because he wears a helmet at all times that is made of mirrors. He literally wears a tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but wearing mirrors on your head, it means that you can't be affected by outside influences in Elden Ring. That's what that means. But Ronnie can't do that because it's literally her body that is being influenced. So that's why she gets rid of it. Then she has that rapey guy, Celibus. Yeah. Who like makes her puppet body. EG like makes weapons and stuff and is like a source of wisdom because he's been alive for like literally all this shit.
Yeah.
He's super fucking old. Her quest line is like basically you help out Blythe do a bunch of cool stuff. He like goes to the Eternal City. He gets the dagger for her, he's going down there to look for the dagger, but he can't get into the city because Radahn's not dead yet, so fate can't move forward. So you need to go beat Radahn.
Yeah.
He helps you beat Radahn, and then you go back
Radahn.
at the Radahn festival. And then you go back to the city. You can then climb down the meteors that started to fall. One of them makes a hole in the ground that lets you go to the Eternal City. You go into the Eternal City. You get the knife that that was stolen from her. That way she can who does she need to kill with that? I think she needs to kill. I can't remember why she needs that knife. Oh, she needs it to kill her two fingers because she has a pair of fingers that are like influencing her. They're like controlling her actions or watching her, I think. Yeah, there's multiple copies of the two fingers. There's not copies. They're just animals that are two fingers. For the record, there's also one set of three fingers that is the thumb and then the other two, so they're like really weird, fucked up. Those ones are evil. Yeah, so Ronnie finds her two fingers. She kills it with the Finger Slayer blade. And over the course of her quest, she basically thinks like, wow, you're really cool. And Blythe is like doomed to betray me forever. So EG tells you like, hey, she won't ask you to do this, but like you need to kill Blythe before it becomes a problem. You could progress the questline in such a way to where he barely holds on until the very end of his sanity because he is like literally an avatar of the greater will, but also he's just such good friends with Ronnie that he can like anime force of will not attack her. or prevent her plans. Meanwhile, while her plan is happening, the Nox assassins are like trying to kill her, and like sometimes you have to fight them, or like you'll find Blythe and he's just like fighting them, and it's like, oh shit, I gotta go help him. Yeah, but eventually Blythe has to leave. The mage man, you have to kill him because he doesn't betray. He doesn't. I think he might betray her at some point in her quest line. Does that happen? I don't remember. He falls off and either fucks off or you kill him. EG gets killed by assassins. Sad. Rest in peace, big giant man. And then Ronnie's like, all right, cool. Get my ring from my mom and then use that ring to like unlock the door to get me to my 2 fingers so I can kill them. And afterwards, you can propose to me with the ring, and then that will like cosmically bind us in an important way. You'll become her vassal, or like literally her consort. Become her consort. And she's like, okay, you'll become Lord of Stars, and I will become my own thing, where I'm just gonna go off into space forever and be my own thing. So you do that, you marry Ronnie, and then at the Lord of Stars ending, she just like pushes the Greater Will away, and then like flies off into the stars, and that's how the game ends.
Yeah.
And you become the Lord of Stars, and like it's eternally night everywhere. Yeah, because she also pushes the sun away. The sun, no one worships the sun.
Yeah, they probably had.
Yeah.
I forget about that nasty old thing.
You know, that might be what the giants worshipped at one point, but since they're not around anymore, the sun is like really small. The sun is like an eighth the size of the moon. Like there's spots where the moon just overpowers it, which is pretty cool. That's Ronnie's deal. Ronnie also had a master at one point called Rena. That's what her doll is based on. And when you first meet her, she introduces herself as Rena. That's when she also mentions that she used to know Melina, or Melina's somebody who Melina knew. Rena never appears on screen and is presumably dead. Or maybe she's the Glowmite Queen, maybe. She's an old Snow Witch crone. That's what we know about her. Yeah. It's those guys in the Giants area, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kind of aligned with Mikola, vaguely. But that never got off the ground. I think they were either waiting for an eclipse or waiting for an eclipse to pass, and it like never happens. And no one knows why. They try to do some ritual in Castle Morn to get that to not be the case, but it didn't work for whatever reason. We don't know what the ritual was, but yeah. They have shields that show the sun in an eclipse, in a total lunar eclipse, like bleeding.
Yeah.
That's all we know. Something Dark Souls 3 shrug. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about it.
What are some of the other endings?
What are some of the other endings? Okay, so the last ending I can think of is the base normal ending is you just become Elden Lord, you marry Marika, you put Marika's head back on her body, and then you just sit on the throne, and then everything stays the same. You get Ronnie's ending, which is the Age of Stars. I already described that. You can have some different variants on the Marry Marika and Usher in a New Age thing by you can put a rune into. You can put a new. In the course of the game, there are several quests which let you form a new rune, like a new great rune. You can form a new rune of death, doing the Deathbed companion quest line, which is pretty cool. Yeah, it's a fun one. That's where you restore death to the lands between by getting the 2 halves of the rune of death that were used by Ronnie, and you give them to some other lady. She takes them, puts them in her womb, and then you have to go into her womb to fight a dragon. And then when you beat the dragon, it turns back into a rune, and she dies. And then you can pick it up, and you can go put it in the Elden Ring. That's basically what her questline is. There is the Dung Eater ending where you can just make everyone become Omen born like forever.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of just get a Crucible ending, but things are like fucked up because you haven't restored death. So it's just like eternal. It's basically just eternal pain for everybody.
It's like
Movie with the puppets.
Fistborn.
Oh,
horror movie.
the movie's so good.
Mad God.
Mad God. Yes.
Mad
it is like
God.
it basically becomes Mad God. You can restore the Golden Order if you follow a character called Goldmask, who is just a priest of the Golden Order, who is just a really big mathematician and is like, wait, the rules of the Elden Ring don't make sense. They can't sustain forever. What if we fixed them? So then he goes around and he just basks in the light of the Erd Tree, and then he just like makes signs with his fingers. And occasionally someone will walk up behind him and go like, "Whoa, dude, I know you can't speak finger, but he's talking some mad shit right now." And then like the second to last one, someone's like, "He just said something so blasphemous that I don't believe him. I think he's gone mad." And what he figures out by just like staring at the Erd Tree and thinking really hard, he figures out that Radigan is Marika. And then you cut that priest who is like interpreting Goldmask for you into words, because Goldmask never talks. He's just like a naked man, or a nearly naked man with a mask that looks like a sun, and then he's just super gaunt and like gray. Maybe he's a Newman. He's old as shit, that's for sure. So if you defend Goldmask, that gives him enough time to he literally just thinks into being a new rune because he's so fucking smart. I think like every time you do a segment of his quest, you just get a spell because you look at him and he's so in tune with this shit by you just like watching he only ever moves 2 fingers in front of you. Yeah. By just watching that, you get like such great insight from the world that you learn a spell. Anyways, at the end of his quest line, he just collapses after like forming a new rune on his body that is a perfect Elden Ring that will presumably last forever if you put it in place. Yeah,
So he beat entropy.
Yeah, he literally beats entropy through sheer math. What a cool guy.
That's fun.
Very cool.
I think what he does is that he deletes the free will of gods. He makes it to where gods can't be selfish. They are eternal. They are like just bound to what will cause their reign to last forever. And was his math perfect? We don't know, but presumably it was pretty good because you restore that. I think there's one more. It's the one I alluded to. It's the 3 fingers ending.
That'd be really funny if he was voiced by George R.R. Martin. Like he takes the mask off and he finally says words and he's like, "Oh, geez, not time to not write for like 15 years. I'm done."
I did all that thinking.
And then he just dies.
Now I gotta.
Good enough writing.
I have no different guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't write a book.
Yeah, no, he writes manga. He wrote manga.
Still make
Past tense.
No, he's dead. Are you not talking about the Berserk author?
no.
Hunter x Hunter author.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Three Fingers ending is under the city of the capital city of Landell. There's an area where they have banished a bunch of guys underground and genocided them because they thought they were gonna do some bad shit, so they just killed all of them. That was the traveling merchants. No, that's the traveling merchants.
Oh.
Remember that tower? Have you ever been to the tower that's like entirely underground at the bottom of the sewers? Okay, there's a tower at the bottom of the sewers. The sewers is just full of omens because they just kick them down there whenever they're born. They're like, yeah. So you go down, and then you go down a big tower. You fight your way down it. There's a boss down there who is like Moog.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an omen who looks like Moog, who has blood magic, who like worships Moog. You beat him, and then if you smash his like altar behind him, it gives way, and then there's a secret passage back there. At the bottom of the secret dungeon is another secret passage behind a secret boss, and you go through there, and then there's just a tower where they just put all of the traveling merchants there. Not all of them, but most of them. The ones that could gather, which is like 90% of them. And they just put them down there to die. So they're all dead down there, except for like a couple who are just playing their like instrument very, very, very sadly. And if you go all the way to the bottom of that, there's a room that's locked. That to open, you need to take all your armor off, and then you can push the doors open. And inside is a set of 3 fingers. It's the ring finger, the pinky, and the thumb. And this one's like fucked up and like on fire. Yeah, they are scorched. This one doesn't speak by waving its 2 fingers back and forth. This one speaks through fingerprints. So if you let it, if you like walk up to it, it will grab you and permanently scar your character. It will literally push, like, burn into your character fingerprints that will lock you into the 3 fingers ending, unless you do the thing where you beat Melania. Unless you go beat Melania, the hardest boss in the game, take her needle, and you can't just use it because it's already inside you. You need to go back to the start of time. So you need to go beat Placidusax and stand at the start of time and then use the needle right there.
Are you serious?
That's the only way you can get rid of it. Yeah.
This game's crazy.
Yeah, this game's fucking nuts. That's the only time you can use that needle, and it's the only thing you can use it for. Yeah. No, if you use it other than that, it doesn't do anything.
Wow.
Only in that one arena, and like it doesn't light up in your inventory or cause a cutscene. You just have to have that item in that spot and use it.
Like, at the bottom.
Oh, like when you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, it heals your character.
Okay.
It gets rid of it. But you lose the item.
The fingerprint.
Yeah, you lose the fingerprints, which are like all over your body because those fingers are huge. Yeah, but if you don't do that, there's a guy who tells you to go down there because he's like, oh, I'm a chaos guy. He's Shabriri. He's a guy who just worships chaos, and he's like, yeah, dude, chaos, pretty cool. He may or may not be literally the god of chaos incarnated into a guy.
Yeah.
Because he, like, at one point he has a different body and then attacks you, dies, and then comes back with the same name but a different guy. Or something. Like, you help a guy fight one guy, kill him, and then a different guy comes up and says he has the same name and he has like the same hat. And he says like, yeah, dude, chaos, pretty righteous.
Pretty funny thing.
Yeah. And he like tells you to go down there and all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Here we come to help you
Yes.
fight Patchett, which is a very funny way of them trust this character,
Yeah.
who then knocks you absolute awful.
That's the one I got. But I got it by choice because he tells you, he's like, hey, you know, the three fingers is pretty cool. It's the chaos. They're all about the eternal flame, which is like some outer god thing, which is like an outer god. If you use the eternal flame, you don't need to burn your maiden. She'll get to live. That's his bargain with you. There's another guy.
I want to highlight. Do you know what Empyrean means?
I knew it at one point. You can remind me.
In the old cosmology, I think this is post-Ptolemaic. Empyrean is like the realm of fire and light, the outermost heaven.
Okay. That doesn't sound right to me, but sure. I'm not saying that you're wrong in your fact. I'm just saying that I'm not sure if that's what this is, because
it's just the conceptual threads to draw between that, like, and what Empyrean literally means, and the fact that the word Empyrean shows up as a title for a person through here.
Yeah.
You could it interesting.
Yeah, but that guy, he tells you to go down there if you want to keep your maiden alive, because she's like, no, we're gonna have to burn me in order to. Yeah, she wants to do it. She's like pushing you to do that, and she tells you don't go up to those three fingers. Like if you go down there, she's like, don't do that. And if you do that, then she just leaves. She goes like, you're a lost cause. I'm leaving. There's another guy whose name is Mike. He was a tarnished before you. He got as far as you did. Like he presumably fought Godfrey or something. Or no, he got all the way until he was about to fight Godfrey. And he also was burned by the three fingers. But Godfrey beat him. And he lost his maiden. So he exists in an ever jail somewhere. Yeah. He's like the original concept for the main character or something. In developer interviews, they're like, oh yeah, that guy was originally the protagonist of like the marketing material. You know how they have like the generic guy in all the trailers? Yet originally that was going to be him. Now he's just on the main cover. If you look at the main cover, it's him, I think. It's either him or his corpse is on the main cover. There's a corpse of a few guys on the main cover. A few named characters. Yeah, but if you do that, you don't purge the three fingers from you. Whenever you beat Radigan and you beat the Elden Ring, what happens is you're put in a room with just you and the body of Marika. And in all the other endings, you can walk up to Marika, and like if you have a bunch of different runes, you can choose which one to do. And then you'll like put her head back on, and then a cutscene will start, and that's the end of the game. For this one, as soon as you approach Marika at all, like get close to her before you can make a decision, your character just collapses and dies, and then a cutscene starts. And when your character stands back up, they stand back up like this. And then their head is gone and has been replaced with a star. And then they like start waving their hands and fire comes out. And you've been overwritten by the god of chaos. And then it just cuts to outside, and the entire universe is on fire, and the Erd tree's gone. That's the ending I got. And I was like, Whoa, cool. Yeah, that's the give into madness ending. That's all the endings, I think. There's still like, an entire college course in there of just like take your fucking pick, dude. Smith and the Ghost Girl. Okay. Yeah, that Smith guy. So in the Round Table Hold, which is where all of the Tarnished meet, it's like a weird semi-real space that only Tarnished can access. That it's like granted to them by the Greater Will. They can just teleport there.
Yeah. It's like Godfrey's old house.
Yeah, it's like
Godfrey's clubhouse.
It's Godfrey's old clubhouse, but like spruced up and a little nicer, more modern. In there's some like shopkeepers that you can talk to, and they'll progress throughout the game. One of them is an omen guy who he's a misbegotten.
Yeah. He's like a little guy.
Oh, okay. I thought he was an omen. Okay. Sure, he's a misbegotten, which a misbegotten is just a beast man. And he'll work on your stuff. He at the end of the game, if you get something to like the ultimate, like a max level weapon, he's like, I have given you a tool to kill a god. Because he's like, yeah, you're pretty badass. You're gonna go fight Radigan. Here, you need something to kill God. Forget what his backstory is. I'm sure you could look it up.
He was in prison.
Yeah, he's like enslaved, but like he's cool with it. Not really?
No.
Sure.
The more you talk to him.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, a lady comes in, she's royalty. She wants to learn about spirits and ghosts. She can upgrade your ghosts. I don't remember any of her deal really.
That's kind of.
Oh, okay. I think she is like from the Weeping Peninsula or something. I'm not sure. I've skipped a lot of characters.
Like the snake girl.
Oh, her?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a daughter of Rykard.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, you can tell her that she's an abomination. No, not like insultingly. Like you can tell her what she is, which is she is the product of human sacrifice to a snake god. And like she's under illusion magic to make her think she's a human.
Yeah.
But is also just a snake sometimes. She's just like, oh, I guess people are just snakes sometimes. Yeah. If you tell her what her origins is, she gets sad and dies, or something, or like disappears. Yeah. Her mom, who works for Rykard, is like the lady of the house for Rykard, is like, hey, that's my daughter. She's a snake. Don't tell her what that means. That wouldn't really break her heart. So you can lie to her and just say like, oh, you're just a snake. It's pretty cool, I guess. But there's like a third ending where you can get like, oh, she learns her origin, but she comes to understand it and accepts it, and then she is happy when she disappears from the game. She like leaves you a letter. Yeah, because they're big on letters in Rykard's house. Yeah, yeah. For all their quests, they give you a letter.
Yeah, the way you get in there.
Yeah, or if you fight there's other ways to do it, but yeah, you can also fight an NPC and beat him, and then a different guy will be like, good job beating that guy. I was going to beat him first, actually, but since you're so cool, have this letter of recommendation. And then that's your invitation. Yeah. Shout out to Tarnished Archaeologist.
Yeah.
He goes into okay, now let's take all of this and parallel real-world history with it. Yeah. America is basically... America Cleopatra, Radigan, Caesar.
Mm.
Who's Mark?
Mark Anthony. I don't know who Mark Anthony is off the top of my head. Why do you have to embarrass me right at the end of my cool lecture where I just had so much knowledge to dump? Oh, Brutus. Probably somebody. I don't remember. I don't think he was that specific with it, but I took America is basically Cleopatra, and I went.
Yeah.
I started just connecting things in my brain because I was like, oh, I know about Roman history. I did that. I did so much research for my other campaign, not command line. Yeah. So unless there's no more questions, that's going to be the end of the lecture.
How did grafting come about?
Okay, grafting is a thing that Godric does. Godric's whole thing is that he basically wants to pose being really cool and strong, but he actually isn't, and he sucks. That's why his name is Godric. So Godric, God as in God, Rick as in Rick as in gold. Because he's super into his own lineage.
Yeah.
But he was born weak and shitty. So then he went around and like he thinks that dragons are really cool. He keeps a dead body of a dragon around and like worships it.
Yeah.
He just attaches the limbs of Tarnished to himself because Tarnished are immortal, even though he's not.
Their limbs are immortal.
Their limbs are immortal, so you can graft Tarnished onto yourself to become bigger. And that's what he did. He turned himself really big. That's why all his guys are all grafty. And that's why you can just graft guys, is because there's a shit ton of Tarnished. Yes. If you use something else, they'll just die. Yeah. Well, they won't. Actually, wait, do they die? No, they don't die. But they do, like, kind of stop being. They do stop moving. But, like, their soul will just linger. Yeah. That was a good question. That was something we never touched on.
Yeah.
Because this game is fucking. Like, we talk about walking mausoleums. Those are a whole thing. Infinite things. Big game. Any other burning questions?
So now that you have gone through all of the endings and sketched out over them in a relaying of information, I'm looking for editorializing. What do you think is to be done? What do you think is the end? What is the ending that you want?
Okay. Out of all the ones, I mean, I feel like there's only two good endings, two even vaguely good endings, and that's well, I guess there's three vaguely good endings. You can restore the Rune of Death with the Deathbed Companion route, and you could just bring death back, and that lets rot go away. Rot will downsize over time, and then it basically just becomes like a normal world, but there's magic and stuff. It becomes generic fantasy whenever you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
You can go the golden route, and you can go for the gold mask. Go with gold mask, keep him safe, get his golden rune, restore the Elden Ring to like max glory, and maybe that lingers around long enough, or that lingers around forever. By doing that, you do like basically give yourself up, like you basically die because you become lord of. You become lord, but you have no like free will because you are not allowed to be. You cosmically cannot be vain.
Yeah.
You cannot make human error. That might be a good place to live. Maybe it doesn't necessarily restore. It doesn't restore death, but they do like kill that would remove. That doesn't remove all the undead because Goldmask is not a Golden Order fundamentalist.
Yeah.
He's just really into the Erd Tree. But I think the Erdtree is bad. I think the Erdtree is like evil, pretty explicitly. I think the Erdtree is just bad. You know, it cosmically fucks with everybody in order to just like keep itself on top. And like it's never like the greater will never helps anybody. It's always just like brushes them to the side when it doesn't need them, and when it does need them, it's just like take a bunch. It's just like, okay, you're important, do this. And then there's the Ronnie ending where you basically say like, the universe is gonna die eventually. I'm gonna just everyone just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and become really smart and learn how to navigate a really cold and harsh world. So I guess Fia's ending, because it, you know, there's still free will. You know, there's still like kings and gods and stuff, but you don't like fuck everyone over in the process. Yeah. Yeah.
I was so convinced watching you play that she was going to wind up being like critically evil.
No. She literally sacrifices herself to make the Rune of Death. And that's like her goal from the start. She wants to reform the Rune of Death because she feels so bad that all the undead are just like eternally suffering in like a limbo state, or like their bodies are being fed into a tree and then their souls are just being forced to wander forever. And she's like, no, they should just be allowed to die and go to the next world, which is presumably where the DLC will take place. Maybe it's like the Land of Dreams or whatever. There's a sword that is from there in the game, or like it is based on a cathedral that exists in the Land of Death. Yeah, that's the one reference to it, but it's like, oh, that sword is immediately the coolest shit ever. Yeah.
So you play the entire game in the lands between. Between what?
Everything else.
There's the Boiling Islands, which is on the body of the giant. There's Yoshi's Island, where the storks are, because storks are real.
There is Samurai Land.
Yeah, there is.
There is literally a Samurai Land, and I think that's the only one that's like confirmed of any importance.
Is it called Samurai Island? Is it an island called Samurai Island?
We don't know anything about it. We just know it's called the Land of Reeds. And you can start as a samurai class, which just means you're a Tarnished who went there, thought it was so cool that you just integrated. And then you got called back. So you are literally a weeb.
Wow.
It's so targeted. They know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. What do you think?
I think
about
that
my reading of the endings?
I think that Horaloo Godfrey the First, that was his other name, right?
Yeah, his name was Horaloo.
Yeah, I think that Horaloo, I think that he's just I feel like I empathize with that character, and he's sort of like an in-universe diegesis of the narrative of every guy who wants to play fists only in Dark Souls.
Yeah, that's so true.
Where he like does it for a while, and then you know, the weight of reality crushes you into picking some shitty weapon. And then once you hit max level, you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I can be my real self. Now the game's fun after 300 hours. Yes. Yeah. So that's why I think the Ronnie ending is the best, because you get to be a battle boy, warrior king trophy husband like him.
You know.
I want you to keep this whole, like, which ending do you think is the best in mind for when we watch a certain movie when I'm visiting you.
Okay. That's fun to be in this recording forever.
Yeah. because my asking that question is motivated by Annihilation.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's my read of the 3 endings, or those endings that matter. Because obviously the Seedbed Curse is bad, and burning everything to ashes forever is also bad. Well, there's actually an implication. There's like a slight implication to the Lord of Chaos ending that everything just kind of becomes one thing, so it might kind of be a human instrumentality project, but also it's all fire coded, which is not good. America?
Yeah.
America never speaks.
Okay.
No. You put her head back on, and then like her chest
says
is open.
G. Willikers and it cuts to black.
Her chest is open, and inside of it, where her womb would be, is the Elden Ring.
Right.
And you can you can form a new part of the Elden Ring if you have a new thing.
Yeah.
If you don't, you just put her head back on and then head outside and sit on the throne. Yeah, there is like Melina will tell you a line that Marika has said in the past, like not to you, but that's like the closest thing. Yeah.
There are many on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is all true. I think this is all like pretty. Where you got like Radigan, Renala, this is their kids. Radigan, America, have Melania and Mikola. Yeah. They probably also have Melina. Yeah, they just don't tell you this because every character just knows all of this that is relevant to them.
Yeah.
So they never tell you. Until you get to that tortoise, and that tortoise is like, let me tell you about my religion, son. Yeah. There's a lot of location names that are important. Yeah, but cool game. Again, highly recommend the Tarnished Archaeologists. If you like history, if you like learning what statues mean, you watch that guy. I have at one point been really high and like watched several of his videos in a row, and I was like, oh my god, that's so right. I never thought of that. I've also watched a lot of other videos.
I might actually give that a look. I do care a lot more about the lore of video games than I do about the lore of real life, but it's nice to see parity between those.
No, I think I think Elden Ring is a great gateway into a history degree.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yes. Like, this is basically the French Revolution lecture. The story of Elden Ring is the story of religions crushing each other but they're crushing each other by building on top of them. And they're just progressively getting more and more complicated, and they're all built on literally crumbled foundations.
Iterative game design.
Yeah, until you get to the modern day, which is like so full of hypocrisy that like it doesn't even make sense anymore. And then there's a few smart guys trying to figure it out, and then there's a few guys who are just like, dude, what if we just append everything and then do something totally different? And like those are your options of endings.
Speaking of the religions and everything, do you think that sorcery or like the glintstone magic, do you think that qualifies as a religion?
It is
in this world. Okay.
It's pretty explicit that like, because like they don't call themselves that obviously, but like like there's branches of magic that are all defined by one stat. That's the thing that they care about. You know, there's beast magic, which is based on how strong you are. There's crucible magic, which is like a combination of strength and faith. There's golden order fundamentalism, which is like intelligence and faith. Faith is just archery stuff, and intelligence is just like spells and stuff. But some spells take a little bit of faith. Like once they get to where they're like really like crazy spells that like they can't explain very well, they like incorporate a little bit of faith. Yeah, that's like fringe magic stuff. Pretty righteous. I'm gonna probably have like a ton of links in the description of this video that are just like, here is a bunch of really good videos to watch if you care about the lore of Elden Ring, because this is a crash course. Yeah, you know, Marika is up on a cross like this, with her head down, and she has been stabbed, not in the rib, by a giant red spear. That red spear is the rune of death, by the way. It has not stabbed here. It's been stabbed here in her womb because someone wanted to cause her to be unable to give birth anymore. Unclear who that was. Probably not. It's probably more recent than that, but also maybe. We don't know anything about the Glowmite Queen, so there's a lot of capital nouns that are like just dropped at one point, and it's like, I wonder what that is. People go nuts. It's like, is Melina the Glowmite Queen? Probably not. I don't know. She seems pretty young. She seems like firmly like not as old as like Morgott or like she seems like similar in age to Ranni. And Ranni is like the youngest of this line. And the is like probably the similar age to these guys. Mog don't care. And oh, I guess one note that I'll explain is that the reason that Rennala has a rune at the start of the game is because Radagon gives it to her as a parting gift for his divorce. That's the rune of birth, of rebirth. So she didn't have to go to war for hers. She just got it. That's the egg that she holds. It's literally amber from the Erdtree that lets you give birth. That's why her boss room is just full of babies. And also why she lets you respec. Yeah, Radagon gave that to her so that way she could have more kids. Because she like poured herself into Ranni, and then Ranni left, and then Radagon left, Ranni left. Radagon gives Rennala an egg. Yeah. Radagon seems like a pretty cool guy. He's just like, no, dude, we got to get to the next stage of evolution. Yeah. It's easy to, I find it quite easy to empathize with Marika.
Me too.
She is complex.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of evil characters on this chart. Who here is evil?
Like right.
Greater Will is evil. Rykard is fairly evil. Rykard is like, you know, he's just looking for power and he's doing anything that he can get.
You didn't write him down.
Yeah, Godric.
He's
just a crazy guy.
Yeah.
Like Lady and Mikla are good. Melina is vague. Melina is dubious. Ranni really swings a club around.
Yeah.
So like, Ranni is one of the more complex characters. Yeah. No, great game. Highly recommend. Highly recommend Tarnished Archaeologist. You can also play the game and like look at a bunch of cool art. If you think that I don't want to bother with the whole action RPG thing, I think it's good. I think it looks good enough to just like play it on God mode. That's what I did, and I found it highly engaging.
If I play it, it would probably be that way.
Yeah. If you want to play it on just easy mode and not literally God mode, you can just give yourself max stats. So every time you get a new item, you can go, oh, how does this work? And you can use it instead of being like, oh, that doesn't work for my build. Trash. You have max stats and everything. I would literally just go into a dungeon and then it'd be like, you got a new spell. And I'd be like, what's a spell do? And then I'd use it and I'd go, cool. I'd use it for like one dungeon and then I get another thing. And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to use that.
Your characterization of the different faiths and how they provide you magic in this lecture has answered that old complaint that I had like a year and change ago about faith being a stat.
Yeah.
Because the way that I conceptualize faith generally is somewhere between trust and conviction, and mostly trust. And that as a stat doesn't really make sense. But characterized by mechanics, I think what they mean by faith is devotion or giving yourself over to other forces.
Yeah, well, I think of it as more like faith is not necessarily your ability to understand things on a like nitty gritty level, but your ability to like understand broader concepts. Like the law of causality is a faith spell.
Yeah.
Even though like wizards they study cause and effect, but they don't understand it as like a fundamental force to the universe. The Golden Order fundamentalists, they understand it as a fundamental thing that like actions happen, things an action occurs and that causes an effect. And the difference between our world and Elden Ring is that it also has the law of regression where things will eternally try to like come back together. Sure.
All right, for me to give a full response to that would take so long.
It does.
All right. Faith versus intelligence in this game seems to have shades of Techne versus Telos.
Yeah, a bit. I'd say that's a pretty good read of it. People drive with music so loud it shakes our brick house. Like that happens like 4 times a day at least. It's insane. I imagine they're fucking deaf apparently. Okay, well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
Oh, Elden Ring.
Oh, Elden John, who we know nothing about. Elden John.
How are rings so?
Good job.